Chat group, I obtained the Saiyan Bloodline from the start. Hey, Fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction, so don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 126 Zhudeo Hermino, I want the administrator to come to the world of Devil High School. The pirate world. Nami looked at Xiaoqi, who was still wearing the Xiangbai jersey, and joked, "Hey, why are you back so soon? Aren't you going to accompany your little fangirl? Come on, I'm going to go crazy if I stay any longer." Xiaoqi curled her lips and looked at the people in front who were fighting with the four priests and said, "How long do you plan to stay in Sky Island?" Nami smiled and said, "If you want to see more of me, I can stay here for a few more days. Sky Island is quite interesting anyway. What's so good about you?" Xiaoqi rolled her eyes at her and continued, "I just want to tell you that before you leave, remember to find the big snake. We can split the gold in its belly in half." Nami puffed out her chest and said unconvincedly, "What's not good looking about me? When I grow up, there will be no more than 5 people in the entire pirate world who are more beautiful than me." Xiaoqi snorted and said disdainfully, "Vivi, Hancock, Shirahoshi, Kazuki Hidayori," and, when Xiaoqi finished the fourth one, Nami looked at him thinking hard and said complacently, "You can't think of it, just admit it honestly. It's not a shameful thing." Xiaoqi glanced at Robin beside Nami and smiled, and Robin with a new skin in 2 years, huh? The smile on Nami's face froze. Robin covered her mouth and smiled, "I didn't expect that Saiyans have such a humorous side." "Thank you for your compliment." Xiaoqi looked at Nami who lived in Bungbu, patted her on the shoulder, and smiled, "Do your best. Remember to notify me when you find the big snake. I want to get more money for my wee-wee." "Robin, Kaya, I'm leaving first. See you later." After Xiaoqi flew away from here, Nami came back to her senses and roared to the sky, "Damn Xiaoqi, just wait for me, you will regret it one day." On the other side, Xiaoqi, who returned to Kinessa's house, changed her clothes and was dragged by several girls to play on Sky Island. When Xiaoqi first arrived at Sky Island, she thought it was quite novel, but after seeing it for a while, she decided it was just so-so. She thought it would be better to use her time to train. Becoming a Super Saiyan was just the beginning. Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, and Super Saiyan 4 were still waiting for her. However, seeing how happy her 3 girlfriends were, Xiaoqi went along with them. While training was important, spending time with her girlfriends was just as important. Takisaki Kirumi and Himejima Akino, though still bitter rivals, pretended to be sisters in front of Xiaoqi, a fact she saw through but kept to herself. That evening, after dinner, Himejima Akino called everyone together, stood up, and bowed slightly to Xiaoqi. "Administrator, I'll trigger a quest after I get back this time. I don't know how many spots will be available, but I'd like to invite you to my world to participate in the ranking game first. If you're willing, you can choose the other spots. I'll also give you a certain amount of points as a reward." According to the original storyline of high school, the scene where Riaz and her fiancé, Wrestle Phoenix, compete in the ranking game will soon arrive. Without Hideout Issei, Riaz's most important player is missing, significantly impacting her overall strength. With just the current group, victory in the ranking game is impossible. Although Akashima Himino has inherited the Sakuragi, she's unable to unleash his true power. After all, the Sakuragi, also known as the Milk Dragon Emperor, cannot replicate Hideout Issei's power in this regard. Furthermore, even if Himejima Akino defeats her opponent, it's merely a single match in the ranking game, and the chances of the others winning are slim. As for selling items or skills for points in a lottery, Himejima Akino had already sold every saleable skill she possessed, except for the Sakuragi, and still only managed to get less than 40,000 points. It's possible to win something good with a small amount of points, but the probability was incredibly low. Not everyone has Linglong's luck. Namake's Minato drew nearly 80,000 points yesterday, and besides the bottle of resurrection water, he also drew skill cards from the everyday world and some low power worlds. She chose this moment to make her request, partly because she had gotten to know Xiaoqi better over the past 2 days. Compared to the cunning Aizen Sosuke, Himejima Akino was more willing to trust him. Also, while she still faced some ostracism, it was at least much better than before, hence the reason for her personal invitation. As soon as Himejima Akino said this, Takisuke Kirumi was the first to disagree. No, your world is too dangerous, darling, can't go there. Zhu Zhuqing, Wei Wei, and Lu Linglong all turned their gazes to Suzuki. Although they didn't say anything, they didn't want Suzuki to go. After all, that world was too tempting for a man, not someone of Kawaimaru's level. Suzuki looked at Himejima Akino and said, if I accidentally kill the turkey, will it cause trouble for you? Oh, Himejima Akino was stunned when she heard Suzuki's answer. She had thought of many possibilities, but this was the only one she hadn't thought of. Suzuki looked at the woman and said, ever since becoming a Super Saiyan, my heart has been thirsting for battle even more. No matter what world they are from or what their abilities are, I want to fight them all. As for the issue you're worried about, Suzuki smiled. I don't know how many spots Akino will have for her mission, but I can just take a few of you with me. Don't you really trust my self-control, Akino? I can only promise you this, if I accidentally kill the turkey, I'll unconditionally resolve any future trouble you encounter with him, so, you can discuss this with your captain after we get back and decide whether to let me go. Himejima Akino smiled and said, no need to discuss. I thank you for your help on Ryu's behalf. Suzuki nodded and said, but I have to make something clear up front. I will definitely not be reincarnated as her demon. Let her figure out her own identity. Himejima Akino smiled and said, don't worry about that. As long as you're willing to help, you don't have to worry about anything else. At this moment, Takisuke Kirumi grabbed Suzuki's arm and said, darling, if you want to go there, you must take me with you. Suzuki said with a smile, if there are many places, it's no problem to take you with you, but if there are not many places, I will definitely give priority to people with strong strength. The combat power system in Akino's world is not high, but it is not low either. Hearing this, Takisuke Kirumi became anxious. She thought quickly in her mind and suddenly said, the relationship between them and Himejima Akino is average, but I am different. I am her good sister now. Zhu Zhuqing, Wei Wei and Lu Linglong covered their mouths and laughed at the same time. I guess you would only say that at this time. Suzuki looked at Takisuke Kirumi with a playful look and said, oh? Then how do you prove that you two are good sisters? I. Takisuke Kirumi said I for a long time, and finally closed her eyes and said, I will sleep in the same bed with her tonight, that should be okay. Ha ha ha. Zhu Zhuqing, Wei Wei and Lu Linglong couldn't help laughing out loud after hearing this. Takisuke Kirumi was really trying her best this time. Suzuki held back her laughter and looked at Himejima Akino and said, what do you think? Himejima Akino said with a smile, Allah, it looks like I'll have an extra elf pillow tonight. Takisuke Kirumi snorted and said arrogantly, you are not allowed to cross the line tonight, let alone touch me. Only darling can play with my first time, don't say such things that will cause misunderstandings. Suzuki tapped Takisuke Kirumi on the head lightly, then smiled and said, since you've worked so hard, I'll reserve a spot for Akino on that task for you. Okay, it's getting late, Vivi, let's go to bed too. Vivi smiled and said, Zhuqing and I will sleep tonight. So, Lu Linglong chuckled and continued Vivi's words, how about having Goddess Linglong serve you tonight? Are you surprised? Are you happy? Suzuki smiled and said, then I'd better go and squeeze in with Zhuqing and the others. Damn it, just give in. Lu Linglong grabbed Suzuki's arm and pulled him into the room. Wei Wei looked at Takisuke Kirumi and smiled, Sansan, Zhuqing and I are going to rest. I wish you a good dream tonight. Zhu Zhuqing on the side smiled and said, Sansan, some things will be over once you close your eyes. Good night. Takisuke Kirumi hugged her head with both hands and screamed in pain. Why did she say such things so stupidly just now? Even if she and Himejima Akino held hands, it would be better than sleeping together. Himejima Akino looked at Takisuke Kirumi and said with a smile, oh, then shouldn't we go to bed too, my good sister, Sansan? Takisuke Kirumi roared, who is your good sister? Stop being so self-indulgent, you big cowpig. As soon as she finished speaking, a voice came from Suzuki's room, Sansan, if you don't keep your word, I won't take you with me then, damn it. Takisuke Kirumi, who was almost tortured crazy, looked at Himejima Akino and said unhappily, why are you still standing there? Go back to your room and sleep. In Suzuki's room, Lu Linglong turned off all the lights in the room and got into the bed and said, "Husband, let's play poker." "Okay, then I'll turn on the lights. After what happened last time, I now carry a few decks of playing cards with me, then let's see the little bear." "Then I'll turn on the lights. I want to see your show Gong Shan." "I don't have that thing anymore, damn it." "What do you want?" "I want to make a little Linglong with you. What do you think?" Let's get started. You lead me. Double-click to see the following content. Chapter 127 Namikaze Minato. My story here is that pain carries rice. The next morning, the girls all smiled like aunties when they saw the blush on Lu Linglong's face that had not yet faded. Wei Wei looked at Zhu Zhuqing beside her and smiled. "Zhuqing, why did the cat meow so loudly last night? Do you think she was hungry?" Zhu Zhuqing smiled and said, "Maybe she was too full and too comfortable." Tokisaki Kirumi suddenly frowned and snorted, and said unhappily, "The cat on Sky Island is really outrageous. If I catch her, I will definitely make her look good." "Well, I feel a little dizzy today, so I won't go out to play with you. I'll go to rest for a while." After Lu Linglong finished speaking, she lowered her head and quickly slipped back to her room. Looking at Xiaoqi, who was still lying there and sleeping soundly, she went forward and punched her without saying a word, cursing, "It's all your fault. It's all your fault. I asked you to be gentler yesterday, but now I'm too ashamed to face anyone." The four girls outside the room smiled at Lu Linglong, who fled in a panic. At this time, Himejima Akino glanced at Tokisaki Kirumi and suddenly said, "Oh, last night, besides the meowing kitten, there was also a kicking kitten." Tokisaki Kirumi's face flushed instantly. She stood up, pointed at Himejima Akino, and roared, "Big cow, I want to duel you, right now." Zhu Zhuqing and Wei Wei restrained Tokisaki Kirumi on either side and said with a smile, San, we'll talk about the duel later, let's talk about the kitten kicking the quilt first." Tokisaki Kirumi struggled, "You two let me go. I'm island sick today too. I need to go back to my room and rest." With two island sick people appearing, the other three girls lost interest in going out. Xiaoqi was woken by Lu Linglong, had breakfast, and then went out to practice alone. Around noon, while still practicing, Xiaoqi received messages from several people in the chat group. "Nami, at Xiaoqi, we found a giant snake. When are you coming?" Xiaoqi, "Tomorrow." "Today's a bit inconvenient, Nami." "What a joke. What kind of inconvenience could you possibly have?" Xiaoqi, "Two people got island sick, Nami." "Kurobakato, good boy. I've only heard of car sickness, seasickness, and airplane sickness. This is the first time I've heard of someone getting island sick." Tokisaki Kirumi, "What nonsense. Just because you haven't heard of it doesn't mean it doesn't exist." Lu Linglong, "Exactly. What's the big deal?" Zhu Zhuqing, "Smile JPG, Azuma Hermino." "Smile JPG, Tokisaki Kirumi, at Azuma Hermino." "Shut up right there, Azuma Hermino." "Oh, how come I suddenly have an extra video? Does anyone want to see it?" Tokisaki Kirumi, "If you dare post it, I'll be fighting you for the rest of my life." Sakata Gintoki, "Jin-san wants to see it." Kashiwazaki Sina, "I want to see it too." Tokisaki Kirumi, "What are you looking at?" At Kashiwazaki Hashina, "Pay attention to your lessons." At Sakata Gintoki, "Go to hell. You really embarrassed us yesterday." Kashiwazaki Hashina, "Speaking of this, I almost died laughing yesterday. Even I know these basic basketball facts." Sakuragi Hanamichi, "You've completely embarrassed me." Sakata Gintoki, "Haha, Jin-san can only say that you're all too superficial." Jin-san, "I won't pretend anymore. Actually, Jin-san was just trying to make you laugh yesterday. You didn't really think Jin-san didn't understand these things, did you?" Nami, "I don't believe you." At Tokisaki Kirumi, at Lu Linglong, "What's wrong with you two?" Xiaoqi, at Nami, "Don't ask too many questions." Nami, "Okay, I'll go and grab all the gold in that snake's belly right now." Xiaoqi, "Thank you so much. This way I can save myself a trip and just come over and get it ready." Nami, "I'm talking about eating it all up, understand?" Minato Namikaze, "Sorry to bother you, I have something I want to tell you." Kashiwazaki Sina, "You sound so serious." Xiaoqi, "Minato, what's going on over there? I didn't hear you say anything yesterday." Minato Namikaze, "Sorry, I've been secretly investigating things since I got back yesterday. The current timeline is the year 64 of Konoha. Aizen Sosuke, interesting, Isn't this the year with the most major events in Naruto? Minato Namikaze, that's right, but from what I can see right now, not a single thing has happened yet. Xiaoqi, so the first plot point is that Pain comes to Konoha to carry rice. Linglong, can you be serious? The tense atmosphere just now was instantly dispelled by your words. Sakata Gintoki, how many floors does a bag of rice have to carry? Xiaoqi, a bag of rice has to carry 2 floors. Sakata Gintoki, I'll wash a bag of rice. Xiaoqi, every grain is covered in mud, who'd give you a bag of rice? Linglong and Takisaki Kurumi, spicy and heavenly. Namikaze Minato, Nami, I don't think you two are island sick at all. Kashiwazaki Sina, can you take me with you next time? I want to carry the rice, too. Xiaoqi, then let's do it again, the 2 of us? Kashiwazaki Sina, okay. Nami, that's enough, at Namikaze Minato, ignore them, keep talking. Namikaze Minato, Sarutobi Hiruzen may be dead, but I don't want to let him go like this. I'll use the impure world reincarnation to get him out later, and then confront him face to face. Kuroba Kato, oh well, they really don't even spare the dead. But judging by how he treated your son, I understand. Xiaoqi, by the way, have you seen your son yet? Namikaze Minato, Naruto is currently studying Senjutsu at Mount Myaboku, and I'm not ready to meet him yet. Xiaoqi, so what are your plans? Namikaze Minato, after I meet Sarutobi Hiruzen, I'll go kill Danzo and then establish an organization. Kuroba Kato, we understand killing Danzo, but what does establishing an organization mean? You're not going back to Konoha. Aizen Sosuke, are you imitating Uchiha Madara? No, more accurately, imitating Black Zetsu, manipulating everything from behind the scenes? Namikaze Minato, that's about it. Konoha, a place that makes me sad, I don't want to go back. I'll protect Naruto in my own way, and wouldn't that make it easier for us to cause trouble in the future? Xiaoqi, Minato, it seems you've already understood the essence of our chat group. I support you. We'll be there whenever you need us. Nami, what essence of a chat group? Cheating and deceiving are all your own essence, right? Sakata Gintoki, that's right. Jin-sen, I'm ashamed to be associated with you, considering your behavior of deceiving people for money and sex. Namikaze Minato, Jin-sen, I originally wanted to name my organization Yorazuaya, but since you're so opposed to it, I'll change it. Sakata Gintoki, Minato, I think your idea is great. Jin-sen is the first to support you. Nami, you're a fence-sitter. Namikaze Minato, the 4th Hokage, Namikaze Minato, is dead. From now on, there's only Namikaze Minato of the Yorazuaya. Aizen Sosuke, 4th Hokage, no, Minato. You probably have other plans for establishing this organization. Namikaze Minato, I haven't made up my mind yet. Maybe you want to unify the ninja world in your own way. After all, there will be even more powerful enemies in the future. Xiaoqi, you're getting me fired up. Agatsuma Yuno, at Xiaoqi, darling, do you want to come see me? Xiaoqi? Takisaki Kurumi, damn it, this chat group is targeting me, right? First it was Big Cow, and now it's you, a psychopathic woman. Linglong, Sen, calm down. We all know she's sick, so why are you still bothering her? And the way you're swearing doesn't fit your image. Takisaki Kurumi, I don't care about my image anymore. If this continues, I'll soon turn evil. Xiaoqi, at Aizen Sosuke, what did you do? Aizen Sosuke, I was just using my abilities to make this poor kid feel a little better. Linglong, idol, I'm still your fan after all. Aren't you just adding to my troubles by doing this? Aizen Sosuke, sorry, I just did what the name Yoshihaya should do. Besides, she's a completely different person now than she was before. Agatsuma Yuno, hello everyone, I hope we can get along happily from now on. Takisaki Kurumi, get lost, who the hell is your sister? Agatsuma Yuno, darling, this sister is so fierce, I need a hug from you. Takisaki Kurumi, holy shit, Kuroba Kato, good man, someone's already been driven crazy so quickly. Xiaoqi, at Aizen Sosuke, 2 questions. Can this woman be restored to her former self? And have you seen the god of time and space? Aizen Sosuke, I have. That so-called god of time and space is indeed somewhat special, but the time it can control is limited to the lower worlds it inhabits. It cannot control higher-level forces, and it itself does not have particularly strong combat power. Aizen Sosuke, as for your first question, Agatsuma Yuno's current situation is a bit complicated. She is not simply affected by my mirror flower water moon. Even if I remove my ability, she will still regard you and others as her closest relatives, Azuma Yuno, Takakiyo's sister, Linglong's sister, Nami's sister, Akino's sister, and Hashina's sister. Please take care of me in the future, Zhu Zhuqing. I think I'm not far from going crazy. Lu Linglong, thank you, but please don't call me sister, I can't bear it. Kashiwazaki Hashina, me too. Nami, sorry, I don't need you as a sister. Himejima Akino, although I don't really mind you calling me that, I already have Sansan. Nami, what's going on between you two? Himejima Akino, Sansan and I slept together last night. Nami, Sakata Gintoki, is it that exciting? Then could that video you mentioned earlier be Tokisaki Kurumi? Hey, all of this no longer needs to exist. Kuroba Kato, it's over, she's completely broken. Thanks to my book friend Zeux and my Omio for the monthly ticket. Thanks to book friend 20230416234304858 for the monthly ticket. Chapter 128. The first time travel card appears, and the crazy bug starts. In the evening, Xiaoqi returned to Kinesa's house after practicing. Looking at Tokisaki Kurumi lying there emitting a death aura, she asked curiously, "What's wrong with her?" Zhu Zhuqing smiled and said, "She has been like this since the afternoon. No one can persuade her. She must have been played badly." Tokisaki Kurumi said weakly at this time, "Darling, if you don't come and hug me, your Samsan will be completely gone." Wee smiled and said, "Just go and hug her. Samsan is really pitiful enough." Xiaoqi smiled, walked to Tokisaki Kurumi and picked her up, and said with a smile, "Allah, who bullied our Samsan? Look at this pouting mouth, you can hang an oil bottle." Tokisaki Kurumi said with a sad face, "Darling, I feel that this chat group has deep malice towards me. I now have reason to suspect that among the people who join the group next time, there will be an elf competing with me for favor." Xiaoqi coaxed, Not really, there are only a few elf characters, how could it be such a coincidence? You are just scaring yourself." Tokisaki Kurumi looked at Xiaoqi and said, "Darling, if that psychotic woman learns to call you like this again in the future, you must never pay attention to her. This is my exclusive name for you." Xiaoqi nodded and said, "You said she is a psychotic, how could I pay attention to her? Any normal man would not want to be targeted by such a woman." Tokisaki Kurumi smiled, "Darling is the best." Xiaoqi looked around and said, "Where are the others?" Wee said, "Linglong and Himejima Akino and the others accompanied Kinas to buy things. Wee and I are here to watch Samsan." Zhu Zhuqing looked at Tokisaki Kurumi and said unhappily, "The two of us coaxed her for a long time and it was useless. In the end, you just came back and hugged her." Tokisaki Kurumi looked at her and said, "Zhuqing, we're good sisters now. I've forgiven you for dismembering my figurines before. What's wrong with you trying to coax me?" Zhu Zhuqing teased, "Isn't your good sister Himejima Akino? We used to just sleep in the same room, but you're so close you're sleeping in the same bed." Tokisaki Kurumi angrily said, "Don't mention this again, or I'll end our friendship." That night, Tokisaki Kurumi tried to get Wee or Lu Linglong to sleep with her, but unfortunately, her wish was denied. Both refused, citing their unwillingness to disrupt her relationship with Himejima Akino. Finally, Tokisaki Kurumi reluctantly re-entered Himejima Akino's room. To avenge Zhu Zhuqing's teasing about their kitten meows, Lu Linglong and Wee stayed up all night listening in the corner of the room, but heard nothing. The next morning, Zhu Zhuqing looked at the two women, their eyes rimmed with dark circles, and said with amusement, "Did you two stay up all night catching cats?" Lu Linglong and Wee exchanged a glance, then, without a word, dragged Zhu Zhuqing to their room and began interrogating her. Tokisaki Kurumi looked at Xiaoqi with a strange expression and said, "Darling, are you feeling weak? How about you take a day off today?" Xiaoqi said angrily, "Even if all five of you come at me, I won't even feel weak. Just enjoy your meal." Tokisaki Kurumi curled her lips and muttered, "I don't believe you can withstand so many of my clones coming at you in the future, after breakfast." Xiaoqi watched from Nami's livestream that she had removed all the gold from the snake's stomach and divided it into two piles. Xiaoqi was very pleased with Nami's performance and was ready to generously reward her with 500 points as a reward for her hard work. However, Xiaoqi's heart nearly bled as he looked at the gift worth 6,666 points on the screen. It was his first time tipping, and he just made a mistake. Nami, at Xiaoqi, thank you boss for the tip. Heart JPG, Kashiwazaki Hashina, the administrator is so generous. This is the most expensive gift I've seen in all my live streams. Sakata Gintoki, Xiaoqi, Jin-san will be doing a live stream soon, so remember to tip. Xiaoqi, what gifts did the lucky viewers who won the prize after the live stream ended get? Aizen Sosuke, the Kakarot figurine is pretty good quality. I'm displaying it in the Hue Palace now. Linglong, mine is the Sansan figurine. By the way, how many figurines do you have? At Tokisaki Kurumi, oh, I have so many different styles. Kashiwazaki Hashina, I've gotten the most. One was a Naruto figurine, which I gave to Minato, Namikaze Minato, if possible, I'd rather you call me Minato-san. After all, I'm only 24 now. Kashiwazaki Sina, okay, Uncle Minato, Namikaze Minato, as long as you're happy. Kashiwazaki Sina, the second time was the bamboo dragonfly you guys usually use. I can fly it now, too. Kashiwazaki Sina, the other time was a notebook that the administrator-san used to see, but I burned it. Xiaoqi, Sakata Gintoki, my dear, next time you draw a book like that, give it to Jin-san. I'll take care of it for you. Sakuragi Hanamichi, big brother, I drew one once too, but Haruko threw it away. Xiaoqi, it wasn't a notebook, was it? Sakuragi Hanamichi, no, it was a pair of black stockings, the same style as the one worn by a girl named Tasakarin. Xiaoqi, Tokisaki Kurumi, tisk, isn't it just black stockings? Darling looks at my black stockings every day. Zhu Zhuqing, San, just by looking at the expression on his face, you can probably tell that this girl named Rin Tasaka looks better than you in black stockings. Tokisaki Kurumi, what's so great about that? Linglong, yeah, even though my legs are a little thicker, I still look pretty good in black stockings. Sakata Gintoki, Xiaoqi, how does Rin Tasaka compare to the other girls here? Xiaoqi, go away, I'm not in the mood to answer you. My points are all wasted. Nami, at Xiaoqi, don't say I'm mean to you. No one else has given me a reward except you. I'll close the live stream so you can claim your reward. It wouldn't be anything good based on past circumstances, but it's a little consolation. Hint, group member Nami has closed the live stream. Hint, administrator Xiaoqi has become a lucky viewer of this live stream and received a time travel card. Note, this time travel card cannot be traded, only the winner can use it. Nami. Sakata Gintoki, holy crap, what happened? Kuroba Kato, awesome. Namikaze Minato, I'm so envious of your luck. Aizen Sosuke, this must be the first time travel card to appear in the chat group. Kashiwazaki Hashina, admin, what does this time travel card look like? Nami, at Xiaoqi, where are you? Come out and tell me, you jerk. Outside the chat group, Xiaoqi's hand trembled slightly as he held a time travel card. He had never imagined that he would actually obtain the time travel card he had dreamed of in this way. The women standing beside him were equally excited. With a time travel card, they could see Xiaoqi without even having to trigger a quest. Linglong excitedly said, honey, take a look at what's written on this time travel card. Xiaoqi nodded, carefully examining the text on the back. However, after reading the entire text, he couldn't help but frown. This time travel card is a little different from what I imagined. While it allows unconditional and unlimited travel back and forth, Xiaoqi sighed at this point and continued, but I can only choose one person's world from among everyone in the chat group. Once chosen, it cannot be changed, and I will appear next to that person every time I travel. The excitement on the women's faces instantly faded after hearing Xiaoqi's words. With so many people here, everyone would surely want Xiaoqi to choose their own world. So who should I give this time travel card to? Himejima Akino smiled and said, then I'll withdraw. Nonsense, it's not your turn, Tokisaki Kurumi said angrily, then looked at the other woman and said, although the four of us are good sisters, I would like to compete with you this time. We looked at the other three women and smiled. I've already won first place once, so I won't compete with you this time. Besides, I have a lot of story missions here, so it won't be difficult for me to meet Xiaoqi. As soon as Wei Wei's words fell, Zhu Zhuqing's voice was heard again. Xiaoqi and I have been together the longest time among everyone, so I won't compete with you this time. Linglong and Tokisaki Kurumi were the only ones left, looking at each other, and no one spoke. After a moment, Tokisaki Kurumi couldn't help it, and spoke first. Linglong, can you give me this opportunity first, please? Linglong reached out to cover Tokisaki Kurumi's mouth in time, and whispered in her ear, good sisters don't need to say that word, try to take him down as soon as possible, come on. Tokisaki Kurumi nodded heavily, looked at the three women who were smiling at her, and said, Zhuqing, Wei Wei, Linglong, thank you, you three will always be my best sisters. At this moment, Su Xiaoqi's voice rang in their ears, I say, you guys are playing sisterly love and giving back and forth emotional dramas, don't you ask what I think, Zhu Zhuqing said with a smile, why, do you have any other ideas? You don't think that your status in the family will be improved after you become a Super Saiyan? Linglong said unhappily, you can be the boss outside, and we sisters will listen to you, but at home, you have to listen to us. Wei Wei squinted her eyes and smiled, sir, is it because we sisters have served you too well these days that you feel you are floating? Tokisaki Kurumi smiled sweetly at Su Xiaoqi, darling, don't struggle, hurry up and get things done with me, San, you are really in it this time. Su Xiaoqi smiled at the other person and selected Tokisaki Kurumi's name on the travel card. Reminder, Administrator Su Xiaoqi has activated the Data Live World travel privileges. Starting immediately, you can freely travel back and forth between this world. Tokisaki Kurumi, yet. So happy I'm taking off a JPG, Su Xiaoqi, sorry to have kept you waiting. I'm sure you must have a lot of questions now. So I'll answer the most pressing ones first. Su Xiaoqi explained the travel card he had drawn this time and some of his own speculations. Namikaze Minato, I see. So it's very likely there are other types of travel cards. Su Xiaoqi, of course, these are just my personal speculations. Azoum Sosuke, at Su Xiaoqi, we have more important things to do right now than researching the types of travel cards, don't we? Su Xiaoqi, that's right, then let's get started. Kashiwazaki Sina, start what? I don't understand. Su Xiaoqi, of course, it's about a card bug. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129 Kashiwazaki Sina, the figurine I got is just like the real person. For the next few minutes, the chat group members began frantically exploiting the live broadcast reward bug in pairs. As for Yuno Agatsuma, the extra person, she was constantly messing around, annoying the others. After 473 minutes, their frantic exploitation caught the chat group's attention. Notice, we've detected a group member violating the live broadcast reward function by exploiting a loophole. The live broadcast reward function is temporarily disabled. The restoration time will be announced later. Notice, all group members involved in this violation will have 20,000 points deducted. We urge all group members to take this as a warning. Notice, regarding this violation, the chat group will have a reporting function. Those who discover and report the exploit can receive up to 100,000 points. With these warnings, everyone was forced to stop. Although they had gained a lot of items in the past half hour, most of them were useless. Kashiwazaki Sina, wow, now I finally understand what it means to steal a chicken but end up losing the rice. My points are negative. Namikaze Minato, +1, Himejima Akino, +2, Azuma Yuno, +3, Sakuragi Hanamichi, +4, Tokisaki Kurumi, +5, Nami, at Tokisaki Kurumi, what are you getting so excited about? I saw you get something good, Tokisaki Kurumi, oh, my points are indeed negative, Nami, then how about selling me that time travel card you have? You don't need it anymore anyway, Aizen Sosuke, at Tokisaki Kurumi, I can also buy it with points. You name the price, Namikaze Minato, is this the confidence of the rich? I envy you so much, Sakata Gintoki, what? Another time travel card, Sakata Gintoki, at Kuroba Kato, you bastard, did you touch poop with your hands? Why does Jin-san get all these messed up things, Kuroba Kato, get lost. I'm already worried about what to do with all those messed up women's clothes. Linglong, you can keep it for yourself. Don't you often wear women's clothes? Kuroba Kato, I need it for work. Nami, stop arguing at Takesaki Kurumi, are you selling it? Takesaki Kurumi, sorry, I've already given this time travel card to my good friend Wiwi. Xiaoqi, actually, even if you buy it, it won't be of much use. While it can still allow you to travel to any world we're in unconditionally, it only lasts for 24 hours. Nami, that's really useless. Aizen Sosuke, at least we can now confirm that there are many types of time travel cards. Xiaoqi, yeah, so anyone who wants to get a time travel card should just go and enter the lottery. Namikaze Minato, a lottery? I just want to turn a negative number into a positive number as soon as possible. Xiaoqi, no, you bought so many things, don't you think there are any valuable items? Kashiwazaki Sina, I could just open a figurine store right now. Kuroba Kato, I can open a clothing store. Sakata Gintoki, those two idiots in Jin-san's family won't have to worry about food for 3 months. Nami, Luffy and the others are now putting together a Gundam toy. Xiaoqi, no, how did you all grind? Why didn't you get any good stuff? Sakata Gintoki, of course I used points to grind. This is the dowry that Swallow gave to Jin-san. How can I fix it? Xiaoqi, forget it, talking to you people is too tiring. At Azoum Sosuke, you should have discovered it. Azoum Sosuke, after several experiments before, the higher the reward points, the greater the probability of getting good things. Namikaze Minato. I only discovered this after seeing Aizen's actions. Sakata Gintoki, why didn't you bastards say it earlier? At Kuroba Kato, how could you not discover it, you idiot? Kuroba Kato, you're such a jerk, you haven't even noticed yet. Why did I find a fool like you to cooperate with you? You've really ruined my reputation as Kato Kid. Kashiwazaki Sina, at Nami, sob, I've already fainted in the bathroom crying. Nami, me too. At Xiaoqi, I hate you. Xiaoqi, why do you hate me? I thought you all could see it. You saw that I rewarded you with 6,666 points and got a time travel card. Nami, Takesaki Kurumi, big cow, you got a bargain this time. Himejima Akino, Allah, aren't we good sisters? At Xiaoqi, I'll slowly pay you back the points I owe you. If that doesn't work, I'll even use my body to pay you back. Takesaki Kurumi, don't push me around. Nami, stop arguing, you two. Tell me, what did you all get? Xiaoqi, actually, it's not always the case that giving more rewards will always yield good stuff. The 5 of us were fined 100,000 points this time, so the only useful things we managed to get were Xiaoqi, 1 time travel card, 2 storage rings, 3 devil fruits, 4 Zanpakuto, and 10 useful skill cards. Xiaoqi, as for the other miscellaneous items, they should be enough for the 5 of us to play with for a lifetime. Kashiwazaki Sina, wailing JPG. Sakata Gintoki, damn it, you're being so Versailles. Jin-san, I lost 20,000 points this time and don't even have a decent sword. I might as well go for the lottery. Namikaze Minato, I'm not as lucky as you guys, and my points are limited, but I did get a pair of Rinnegan. Plus, my future grandkids will have a lifetime of toys to play with, so even if I owe over 10,000 points now, it's not a loss. Namikaze Minato, at Azoum Sosuke, I owe you a favor this time, thanks to your help. Aizen Sosuke, it's just a small matter. In the next period of time, I will try to integrate some abilities from other worlds into the Houjoku and create some new ranker types. Sakuragi Hanamichi, big brother, thank you for this time. I don't want any combat skill cards. Haruko doesn't like my fighting. When the time comes, please pick some sports skill cards for me. I can play with other balls when I have free time. Xiaoqi, okay, go slowly and I'll give you some more points. I don't want you to lose too much. Agatsuma Yuno, darling, why did you forget about me? Takesaki Kurumi, get out of here. Who cares about the crap you got? Linglong, Sanson, why are you getting more and more irritable now? Xiaoqi scolded me when I was learning from Nami. Nami, Linglong, you want to backstab me again, right? Linglong, at Nami, heart JPG, Nami, stop playing dumb and being cute. Kashiwazaki Sina, do you guys want a figurine? If possible, I'd like to sell some points to pay off my debt. Sakata Gintoki, you little cutie, It's not that Jin-san doesn't want to help you, it's just that Jin-san has so many figurines he has no place to put them. Kashiwazaki-sina, oh. Well, I thought everyone would be interested in the special figurines I found. Xiaoqi, how special are they? Kashiwazaki-sina, well, this is the first time I've seen a figurine like this. The workmanship and size are exactly like a real person, and she even has warmth. Sakata Gintoki, Masuga, Xiaoqi, that must be the Masuga you were talking about. Kuroba Kato, haha, that's true. Linglong, no way. Nami. You know what I mean? Takisaki Kurumi, Linglong, why are you making such a fuss? No matter how fun a figurine is, can it be more fun than one of mine? Linglong, haha. For a man, this kind of figurine is indeed much more fun than yours. Sakata Gintoki, cutie, who are all these figurines in your hand? Kashiwazaki-sina, I don't recognize a few of them. The ones I know are Hancock sister, Bibi Dong auntie, Terumi Mei sister, Inuoriheim sister, and Utagami Toka's sister. Sakata Gintoki, 20,000 points, Jin-san takes them all. Consider it paying off your debt for you, cutie. Linglong, at Xiaoqi, if you dare to bid, don't even think about sleeping with me anymore. Nami? Xiaoqi, I didn't bid either. I definitely prefer the real ones at Kashiwazaki-sina, don't be fooled by him. He'll take every one of them even if you offer him 10,000 points. Sakata Gintoki, Xiaoqi, Jin-san and you are brothers after all. If you do this to me, Jin-san will be angry. Takisaki Kurumi, so, what kind of figurine is worth so many points? Himejima Akino, oh, I didn't expect you to not even understand this. You are such a naive elf. Takisaki Kurumi, I'm in a good mood today and don't want to argue with you. Linglong, at Zhu Zhuqing, at Takisaki Kurumi, I'll tell you privately. Kashiwazaki-sina, the administrator said each one is worth 10,000 points, but I don't want to sell so many 5,000 points each, is that okay? Zhu Zhuqing, these figurines can't be sold, at Kashiwazaki-sina. Takisaki Kurumi, how did you make such a filthy figurine? I absolutely won't allow figurines like mine to appear here. Not even a darling can play with them. Sakata Gintoki, Jin-san will take it for 10,000 points each. Give them to Jin-san Hancock and Terumi Mei first. Linglong, at Kashiwazaki Hashina, listen to me. You can't sell these figurines. I'll tell you what they're good for in a minute, and you'll understand. Also, to make up for your losses, the three of us will pay off the 20,000 points you owe. Kashiwazaki Hashina, okay, I'll listen to you. Sakata Gintoki, how dare you deprive Jin-san of his happiness? Your actions are immoral and will be struck by lightning. Linglong, I'm not afraid of lightning right now. When I get back this time, I'll talk to Feng Xian and let her deal with you later. Sakata Gintoki, how can I fix that? Agatsuma, you know, darling, I haven't even told you about the things I got. Takisaki Kurumi, are you annoying? We're heading out to find Nami now and don't have time for you. Agatsuma, you know, darling, get this annoying woman away from you, and I'll give you the things I got. Linglong, at Azuma, you know, none of us needs your things. Don't bother us. Aizen Sosuke, you know, can you tell me what you got? Agatsuma, you know, Aizen-sama, I got a couple's time travel card. Chapter 130. It's 2025, how many people still remember Icarus? After Asuma finished explaining the function of the couple time travel card in her hand, the women around Xiaoqi fell silent, while the others in the chat group went wild. Aizen Sosuke, as long as a man and a woman bind themselves to each other, they can travel to each other's world. Namikaze Minato, and one of them doesn't even have to be in our chat group. Kuroba Kato, this time travel card is the best of the three that have appeared so far. Sakata Gintoki, Jin-san offers 50,000 points, that's all Jin-san has. Kuroba Kato, hiss. Just asking, who do you want to bind to? Sakata Gintoki, of course, Jin-san swallow. She contributed most of Jin-san's points. Nami, although I have a different opinion of you now, I apologize. Nami, at Asuma, would you sell me 80,000 points? Kashiwazaki Hona, my dear, those points are an astronomical sum to me. Namikaze Minato, I really don't want to disturb your fun, but have you forgotten something? Azuma, I won't sell this card no matter how many points you offer. I want to keep it for my darling. Sakata Gintoki, how can I fix this? At Aizom Sosuke, Quickly unlock your mirror flower and water moon, you bastard. Azoum Sosuke, I'm sorry, she and I are not in the same world now. And I've said before that even if I unlock my ability, she won't completely listen to me. Azoum Sosuke, I'm not the top priority in her mind. Suzuki, at Azuma 100,000 points, can you sell it to me, Azuma Darling, I don't want your points. As long as you get that annoying elf away from you, I'll give you this card. Kuroba Kato, aren't you afraid of your darling? No, aren't you afraid that Xiaoqi will go back on his word, Azuma I believe darling won't go back on his word. Suzuki, I won't drive Samsan away. You can keep this time travel card for yourself, Linglong. Humph, you want to use a time travel card to destroy our relationship? Dream on, Zhu Zhuqing, please don't talk to us in the future. Suzuki, at Nami, we'll be here soon after we finish packing. Nami, oh, okay. Sakata Gintoki, at Azuma listen to Jin-san's advice and sell the time travel card in your hand. How about 30,000 points? Kuroba Kato, you're really good at negotiating prices. Suzuki closed the chat group and looked at Takisuki Kirumi, who was silent with her head down in front of her, and said with a smile, you didn't do anything wrong. I didn't intend to have anything to do with that psychotic woman. Come on, smile, darling, I'm sorry. Suzuki smiled, looked at Himejima Akino and said, your good sister is feeling a little low right now. Please give her a hug of love. Oh, I'm happy to help. Himejima Akino smiled, hugged Takisuki Kirumi in her arms and rubbed her. You big cow, let me go. I can't breathe, don't touch my face with your fat, you bastard. 2 minutes later, Suzuki looked at Takisuki Kirumi, whose face was flushed and breathing heavily, and smiled, are you cheering up? If not, I can ask your other good sisters to continue giving you loving hugs. Darling, I feel that sooner or later you will play me bad, but, Takisuki Kirumi said with a smile, thank you for spoiling me, darling. At this time, Linglong, who was sorting all the items, exclaimed, hey, what is this card? Why didn't I notice it just now? Himejima Akino smiled and said, oh, this is what I swiped out. It seems to be some kind of intelligent robot summoning card. If you like it, I'll give it to you. Linglong instantly imagined the kind of metal robot she had in mind, shook her head and said, forget it, I don't like that kind of metal people. It's not fun. Suzuki quickly walked up, took the card from Linglong's hand, looked at it, and said, Akane, can you sell this card to me? Himejima Akino smiled and said, Allah, if the administrator wants it, just take it. I'm not interested in this kind of metal object. Linglong nodded and said, what's so fun about that cold robot, with your brain? I'm too lazy to explain to you. Suzuki complained unhappily, then looked at Himejima Akino and said, you may not know much about intelligent robots. If you are lucky, you may be able to summon a powerful robot. Linglong pouted and said, no matter how powerful a robot is, it is still a robot. I can short-circuit it with a lightning bolt. Himejima Akino smiled and said, I think what Linglong said is right. If the administrator likes things in this area, just take it. Suzuki thought for a while and said, I'll accept this card. I won't ask for any compensation from you when I go to your world to help you next time. Do you think this is okay? Himejima Akino said with some surprise. It seems like I've made a profit. Takisuki Kirumi curled her lips and said, I got you another bargain. Zhu Zhuqing smiled at Suzuki and said, since I've known you, besides your love for driving excavators, I didn't expect you to also be into this kind of stuff. Linglong snorted, how dare you call your Linglong wife brainless? I want to see what kind of iron lump you can summon. If it's something messed up, I'll just chop it up. Wee smiled, hurry up and summon it. I'm curious what kind of robot will appear. Suzuki nodded and used the intelligent robot summoning card in her hand. As a flash of white light appeared, Suzuki began to chant silently, Doraemon, Doraemon, give me Doraemon. As the figure in the white light became clearer, a woman dressed in silver-white clothes, with long, uneven pink hair, emerald green eyes, and a special collar around her neck appeared before everyone's eyes. As a pair of soft pink wings spread behind her, the women's mouths opened into an O shape. This cute girl is a robot? You're kidding. Nice to meet you, I am Icarus, the universal angel robot for entertainment. I will fulfill all your wishes, my master. Suzuki swallowed as he looked at Icarus, who was so close to him. He just wanted a robot cat, but ended up getting the heroine in Heaven's Lost property. So I didn't become Nobita Subi, but Tomoki Saoi. Tokisaki Kurumi wiped her eyes, looked at Icarus not far in front of her, and said with some stammering, Linglong, she is the same as you, a pink-haired one. Yes, Linglong replied blankly, and suddenly came to her senses the next second and shouted, is it the time to care about whether she has pink hair or not? Where is the robot you promised? Don't tell me she is a robot, Wee said uncertainly. When she introduced herself just now, she said that she is a universal angel robot for entertainment, so, she should be a robot, right? Zhu Zhuqing said, if all robots are like this, I want one too. Himejima Akino smiled awkwardly, I don't know if it's too late for me to come back now, after a brief daze. Xiaoqi also accepted the reality in front of her. Although Icarus did not have those various props of Doraemon, his combat power was very strong, and her universal cards could fulfill most of her wishes in a sense. However, Icarus was a complete naivete, with minimal emotional control, and his face remained expressionless most of the time. Icarus, I need to explain something to you first. Xiaoqi briefly explained the situation and asked, do you understand what I'm saying? Icarus nodded and said, I understand, Master. We angel robots are created to please our masters. Please feel free to ask for anything that will please you. Xiaoqi clutched her forehead. From the look on his face, she knew he hadn't understood at all. Icarus, let me put it simply. In the future, you don't have to worry about anyone else coming to capture you. You should understand what I mean by this. Icarus nodded and said lightly, if Master doesn't drive me away, I won't leave Master's side. Xiaoqi sighed and said, why do pink-haired people have a single brain? Hearing this, Linglong said unhappily, even if I don't have a single brain, I'm still your wife. Go away, we need to talk to Icarus for a few words. Icarus, let me be your master, okay? You see, we both have pink hair, we will definitely get along well. Icarus looked at Xiaoqi and said, Master, do we need to exclude these people? Oh my god. Xiaoqi was frightened when she saw Icarus' eyes turned red, and hurriedly said, Icarus, these are all our own people. You must get along well with them in the future, understand? Okay, Master. Icarus, whose eyes turned green again, looked at the girls and said, I'm very sorry for what happened just now. Icarus, go play with the clouds over there for a while. I'll talk to them for a while. After seeing Icarus leave, Xiaoqi quickly told the girls about her situation and the anime she was watching. Linglong sighed and said in frustration, if I could choose again, I would definitely not give this card to you. Himejima Akino said with a smile, oh, this sentence should be most appropriate for me to say. Xiaoqi looked at her and said, Akino, I really took advantage of you this time. How about this, you choose 2 more skill cards from those as compensation. Himejima Akino winked at Xiaoqi and said, I don't mind being taken advantage of by the administrator. Tokisaki Kurumi snorted coldly, Big Cow, it's 100 years too early for you to join our big family. You are now the second person I hate after my wife, you know. Himejima Akino smiled, oh, I was last before, but it seems I have improved now. Thank you, Sanson. Tokisaki Kurumi blushed and roared, why are you thanking me? I wasn't praising you. Xiaoqi smiled, okay, you guys pick some fun things for Canis and then we'll go and give Nami and the others a big surprise. Thanks to book friend 2019121010503915 for the monthly ticket. Thanks to book friend 202107191215197995 for the monthly ticket. Thanks to book friend Awu Gudong for the monthly ticket. Chapter 131 The Sky Island story ends. Nami looked at the pink-haired, somewhat dazed Icarus in front of her with a puzzled look. Who is she? Is she in the Sky Island plot? Linglong smiled and said, Nami, if I say she is my long-lost sister, do you believe it? What do you think? Nami rolled her eyes at Linglong, then looked at Xiaoqi and said, how did you lie? However, before Xiaoqi could answer, Sanji rushed to Icarus with excitement at the sight of the beauty and said, this beautiful angel, from the first moment I saw you, I knew I was in love. Icarus turned his head and looked at Xiaoqi and said lightly, Master, abnormal emotional fluctuations have been detected. Do we need to eliminate them, Sanji? Nami on the side said with disdain, I didn't expect you to have such a hobby, you pervert. How? Xiaoqi glanced at Nami with a playful expression, turned his head and looked at Icarus and said, Icarus, Help me send 100 million berries over to hit this woman on the head. Okay, master. Icarus took out a card and turned it into a calculator and pressed it. The next second, stacks of money fell from the sky and hit Nami on the head. This money is actually real, Nami exclaimed after picking up the money on the ground and taking a look at it. She looked at Icarus excitedly and said, "Hey, can you lend me that card-like thing of yours?" Icarus said expressionlessly, "I only listen to the master." Bastard Suzuki Sanji showed an angry expression when he heard this. The next second, he suddenly shed tears and said unwillingly, "It's really enviable, get out of the way, don't get in the way." After Nami knocked Sanji down with a punch, she looked at Suzuki and said flatteringly, "Can you ask her to transmit all the money in this world?" Suzuki thought for a while and said, "In theory, it should be possible, but why should I listen to you? Didn't you just call me a pervert? You're talking nonsense." "I didn't, it's not me." Nami denied it 3 times in a row, then leaned her head on Suzuki's arms, and said obediently, "As long as you fulfill this wish of mine, I can call you master from now on. Get out of my way." Suzuki pushed Nami out with disgust, and said unhappily, "What other use are you except for ruining my family? Damn it." Nami cursed angrily, and muttered softly, "I can also warm your bed, okay?" Suzuki looked at the Straw Hat Pirates surrounding Icarus and said, "Let me introduce Icarus to you." A moment later, when all the people in the Straw Hat Pirates learned of Icarus's identity, they all opened their mouths wide. Who could have imagined that this cute girl in front of them was actually a humanoid robot? Luffy pointed to the Gundam model toy that Usopp and Chopper had half built, and said with stars in his eyes, "Can you become like that?" Suzuki said with a smile, "Luffy, Icarus can't become like that, but her attack power is no less powerful than that thing. Icarus's destructive power is equivalent to that of Uranus, the king of your world. To put it simply, one of her blows can directly destroy a country here." What? Except for Luffy, everyone at the scene was shocked that this seemingly harmless beautiful girl was so strong. After Nami's shock, she looked at Suzuki and said, "How are you going to place her? Can she go to your world?" Suzuki smiled and said, "Of course. Icarus is essentially just a robot. Not only can she be teleported via red envelopes, but she can also enter my storage ring. However, my world isn't very interesting, so I plan to let her play in different worlds. When I'm not with her, she will prioritize following the orders of Zhu Zhuqing, Wei Wei, and Linglong." Nami's eyes lit up when she heard this. If she followed Wei Wei's orders, wouldn't that be the same as following her own orders? Then she would have Icarus teleport all the money and gold from this world over. Hey, Nami couldn't help laughing at the thought. However, before she could be happy for a few seconds, Suzuki's voice rang in her ears, "Icarus will only obey their combat orders. As for those other messy orders, she will not execute them." Damn man, Nami cursed Suzuki in her heart. After noticing the rings on Wei Wei and Lu Linglong's ring fingers, she said in a sour tone, "It seems that each of you has gained a lot this time, especially someone who used to shout for fighting and killing all day long, but now he has been directly slept with." Tokisaki Kurumi blushed and roared, "Nami, I was not slept with by that big cow. I'm just forbearing." "Do you understand what forbearance means?" Nami curled her lips. "I didn't say anything about you. Why are you nervous? Since you are here, I'll tell you that we have almost completed the plot of Sky Island. Now all we have to do is ring the golden bell. How many days do you want to stay here?" Tokisaki Kurumi looked at Suzuki and said, "Darling, I'll listen to you. Anyway, you and I can see each other every day in the future." Suzuki said, "I don't care. I'm going to Sakuragi's place to play a game tomorrow." Lu Linglong smiled and said, "Although Sky Island is fun, I miss flowers a little." Zhu Zhuqing nodded, "Me too." Himejima Akino smiled and said, "Allah, I'm almost going back. I have to prepare for the administrator's welcome ceremony later." "What?" Nami exclaimed, looking at Suzuki and said, "You are going to her world?" Suzuki said speechlessly, "It's just a fight over there." "What's the fuss about?" Nami snorted coldly, looking at Zhu Zhuqing, Wei Wei, Lu Linglong and Tokisaki Kurumi. The 4 girls said unhappily, "You are all really good, especially you, Wei Wei." Wei Wei smiled embarrassedly, "Nami, there are many reasons for this. I will explain it to you slowly later." HMPH, Nami glared at Vivi, then yelled at Luffy, "Luffy, ring the golden bell right now, and Robin too, go read the historical text now, wrap up the Sky Island plot, and get these heartless people out of here." Unsatisfied, she looked at Xiaoqi and the others again and said, "None of you five can even think about coming to the Enforcement Island plot, HMPH. Xiaoqi turned to Vivi and said, "How can this woman change so quickly? Does she have to visit her relatives several times a month?" Vivi said angrily, "Just keep your words to yourself. I'm afraid I'll be in trouble after you leave." As the toll of the golden bell echoed across Sky Island, the Sky Island plot came to an end. Xiaoqi had originally planned to hold a party with Luffy and his crew before returning to her own world, but an enraged Nami stopped her. Anyone who dared to dissuade her was eventually dealt a harsh blow by her iron fist. "Icarus, I'll take you back to my world later to familiarize you with it. By the way, I'll find you a big round watermelon for you to hold and play with." "Okay, Master." Zhu Zhuqing, Linglong, say hello to everyone else for me when you get back. Zhu Zhuqing and Linglong smiled and nodded. After saying goodbye to everyone else, they returned to their own world. Xiaoqi looked at Himejima Aquino and said, "See you later, Allah. I will trigger the task as soon as possible and wait for the administrator to arrive." Himejima Aquino smiled at Xiaoqi, then looked at Takisuki Kirumi and said, "Do you want to hug each other sisters again? Dream on." Takisuki Kirumi snorted coldly, turned her head and whispered, "Don't get beaten to death. Next time we meet, I will fight with you again, and I will be the winner." Himejima Aquino smiled, looked at everyone and said, "Everyone, see you next time." Xiaoqi looked at Takisuki Kirumi and said, "Why, you can't bear to leave your good sister? Who can't bear to leave her? I hate her so much." Takisuki Kirumi argued for herself, looked at everyone and said, "Vivi, and everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates, see you next time, darling. I'm waiting to date you in the dating world." Xiaoqi smiled and shook her head, looked at Vivi and said, "I'll go back first. If you want to come and play anytime, let Nami tell me in the group." "Okay." Vivi nodded and smiled, then walked forward, hugged Xiaoqi and whispered, "Go say goodbye to Nami. She has paid a lot this time so that we can have fun." "Okay." Xiaoqi walked up to Nami, looked at the angry expression on her face and smiled. "Remember to drink more hot water, Xiaoqi, you bastard. Just go." Nami felt a warm hug before she finished speaking. "Since you performed so well this time, I will cheat you less next time. Remember to send Icarus to me later. Goodbye, everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates. See you next time. Remember to improve your strength. I will test you next time." Everyone in the Straw Hat Pirates except Sanji said, "Goodbye, Xiaoqi." Sanji looked at Xiaoqi's disappearing figure and gritted his teeth and said, "It's better not to see each other again. Next time, just have the girls come over." Vivi walked to Nami and smiled, "Now you can calm down a little. HMPH, you still have some conscience." Nami snorted coldly, and the next second, a smile appeared on her lips. "Can you explain to me what's going on with that Himejima Aquino?" Meanwhile, Xiaoqi, back in his own world, felt like he had forgotten something on Sky Island. "What exactly did I forget?" Xiaoqi, Chinin thought, suddenly had an idea and shouted, "Damn, I still haven't gotten my billion berries." Chapter 132 The Naive Icarus. "Icarus, this round green thing is called a watermelon. You can play with it from now on, okay, Matsur?" Xiaoqi smiled as she watched Icarus cradling the watermelon in his arms. This Icarus was the Icarus she remembered. "Icarus, can you make humans appear in this world?" Icarus shook his head and said, "Sorry, Mater, I can't do that." Xiaoqi stroked her hair and smiled. "It's okay, I'm just asking. Let's go pick out some clothes for you to wear, then go home for dinner, okay, Matsur?" After dinner with Icarus, Xiaoqi smiled as he cleared the table. He finally had someone in this world he could talk to. The next morning, when Xiaoqi opened her eyes and saw Icarus sleeping beside her, her first reaction was that she had gotten out of bed the wrong way. However, when she opened her eyes again, Icarus's face was even closer. "Good morning, Master." "Good morning." "Bullshit." Xiaoqi, who was awakened by the fright, jumped out of the bed quickly. Before going to bed last night, he specifically told Icarus some precautions in this regard and asked her to sleep in her room with a watermelon in her arms at night. Icarus opened the quilt, got out of bed, walked to Xiaoqi and said, "Master, what's wrong with you?" "Oh my god." Xiaoqi looked at the naked Icarus in front of him and said in panic, You, where are your clothes and armor?" Icarus said lightly, "It's a bit troublesome to sleep in armor, so I took off all the clothes like the master." "Am I wrong?" Xiaoqi said anxiously, "Let's talk about this later." put on your clothes first. Okay, master, do you need me to help you put on your clothes? I can do it myself. After a while of chaos, Xiaoqi, who was dressed, looked at Icarus and said, "Why did you come to my room last night? And where is your watermelon?" Icarus said lightly, "I covered a watermelon with a quilt and came to sleep here with the master, Xiaoqi." So, are the two of us talking on the same channel? Xiaoqi felt that it was impossible to reason with Icarus, so she sighed and said, "Icarus, I'm going to another world to do a mission today. Whose world do you want to go to play in?" This time, Icarus did not answer Xiaoqi immediately. After a long time, he looked at Xiaoqi and said, "Master, I don't want to go to other worlds. Can I stay by your side?" Xiaoqi said, "Icarus, didn't we agree yesterday that you would go to other worlds to play while I go on the mission, and come back after I finish the mission? Master, don't you want me anymore?" No, don't get me wrong, how could I not want you? I mean, master, you can abandon me if you ask." Xiaoqi watched the card in Icarus's hand suddenly turn into a pink pistol, and hurriedly said, "Icarus, I now order you to go on the mission with me today, but you must listen to me, understand?" Icarus showed a faint smile on his face and said, "Okay, master." Xiaoqi looked at Icarus and asked, "Did you just laugh, master? What's a laugh? Never mind, let's go eat first." "Okay, master." In the slam dunk world, at the gymnasium, the Xiangbai players looked in amazement at the girl standing next to Xiaoqi, holding a watermelon. They'd seen her holding toys before, but this was a first for them. "What are you looking at? Focus on the game. Although today's opponent Kaduno is very weak, the goal I have set for you 5 is to score 100 points in the first half. Sakuragi, you take the others out first. We still have something to say, Ayako, Haruko, and that guy, you guys stay too." After the Xiangbai players left the locker room, Xiaoqi looked at Marikawai and said, "You know everything about us, right?" Marikawai nodded. In the past few days, she followed Sakuragi Hanamichi and Akagi Haruko like a big light bulb every day for news about Xiaoqi. Only then did she know Xiaoqi's origins from Sakuragi Hanamichi. "I asked Sakuragi to tell you about my situation on purpose. Now that you know it now, you should believe that I have a girlfriend, and that there is really no possibility between us." Marikawai looked at Icarus and said, "Are you one of her girlfriends?" Icarus shook his head and said, "No, he is my master." "Master?" Marikawai muttered, looking at Xiaoqi and said, "You people from another world like this kind of tune." Xiaoqi said unhappily, "Is this the point?" "The point is that you can give up now," Marikawai said. "Why should I give up? I like you anyway. What does it have to do with whether you are from another world or not? Besides, others envy me for being able to find a boyfriend from another world, and you already have 3 girlfriends, so one more won't make a difference." Xiaoqi said with a smile, "You and I have only met a few times and haven't said a few words. Tell me what you like about me." Marikawai thought for a moment and said, "You are my type, and you look handsome when you play basketball." Xiaoqi looked at the other party seriously and said, "Marikawai, what you see is just how I appear in this world. Do you know that I have killed many people? Do you know what my nature is like? As long as I want to, I can easily destroy this world. The me you like is just the me you imagined in your mind. We live in different worlds and have different concepts. To put it bluntly, you and I are not the same kind of people at all. I have no interest in a pampered young lady like you." "You?" Marikawai's eyes welled up with tears as she glared at Xiaoqi in front of her and roared, "Xiaoqi, I never want to see you again." Haruko Akagi looked at Marikawai, who was running away, and said with a worried look on her face, "Brother, did you say too much just now?" Minato Namikaze smiled and said, "If Xiaoqi hadn't said that just now, she would have been hurting her. Do you think she can really accept people like us the way she is now?" Ayako smiled and said, "Haruko, you are just too spoiled by that brat Sakuragi, and you haven't been exposed to many things." Kuroba Kato said, "It's a pity Jin-san isn't here, otherwise he'd be able to unleash his Bushido spirit once again. That sleepy idiot." Xiaoqi cursed angrily, looking at Akagi, Haruko and Ayako. "I'll have to trouble you two to take care of Icarus for a while. As for Kawaimari, you can go check on her when you have time." With the appearance of Xiaoqi and the others, the arena erupted in deafening cheers, everyone chanting their names. After the match against Miuride, the Shohoku basketball team's fame resonated throughout Kanagawa Prefecture, and Xiaoqi and the others' performances were legendary. They had come here to witness their spectacular performance. But to their disappointment, they weren't among the starting 5 in the first half. Xiaoqi fielded a normal 5-man lineup, with Rukaki's dazzling skills becoming the only attraction. In the Xiaoqi dugout, Suzuki looked at Kawai-Mari, who was sitting next to her, and asked, "Didn't you say you didn't want to see me? Why are you here again?" Kawai-Mari snorted coldly, "Don't be so sentimental. I'm just doing my job. Please don't talk to me." Suzuki smiled and said nothing more, watching the game with peace of mind. Despite the huge gap in strength between the two teams, Xiaoqi had already opened up a 50-point gap with Katanori midway through the first half. Following Akagi Takanori's impressive slam dunk, another slam dunk was also seen in the Xiaoqi dugout. Icarus, engrossed in watching, accidentally smashed the watermelon in his hand. As everyone knows, shattering Icarus's watermelon can have serious consequences. Suzuki watched as Icarus, in combat form, instantly appeared beside her. Without a word, he grabbed her hand and ran out of the arena. Once clear, he quickly led her back to his own world. "Master, the watermelon is broken, let's get a new one now." "Master, I want to play with that round ball that everyone was playing with just now." "Okay, that's called a basketball. I'll take you to play, but you have to remember that you can hide a basketball but not a watermelon." "Okay, Master." Chapter 133, the theme of the dating world is dating or kissing. After Icarus's watermelon incident, Suzuki told Sakuragi Hanamichi that he wouldn't be returning to play today, and asked the three of them to earn more points. Sakuragi Hanamichi's story points were calculated by multiplying their individual scores per game by 30. While it might not seem like much, they were all capable scorers. If Suzuki played a full 40 minutes, she could easily rack up tens of thousands of points per game. However, that would be a bummer, and it might also lead to the Xiaoqi team being forced to advance early by the organizing committee. After all, no team wants to play just to serve a baseline ball. Sakuragi Hanamichi then relayed a message to him on behalf of Mari Kawai. "Suzuki, do you really not want to see me? Mari Kawai, will prove my resolve to you." "What the hell?" Suzuki smiled wryly at Sakuragi Hanamichi's message and shook her head. Icarus walked up to Suzuki with a basketball and asked, "Master, what's wrong with you?" "Nothing." Suzuki looked at Icarus and smiled. "Icarus, I just played basketball with you. Now, can you practice with me for a while?" "Practice?" Icarus looked at Suzuki, somewhat puzzled. Suzuki smiled and said, "Yes, practice. Use your Queen of the Sky form to attack me." "Master, that's too dangerous. We all powerful angels are much stronger than you ordinary humans." Suzuki smiled, then took a stance and transformed into Super Saiyan form with a loud shout. "Icarus, this is my Super Saiyan form. I haven't had time to tell you before, but I'm not an ordinary human. You can try to catch up with my speed." "I know, Master." Queen of the Sky mode is activated, Greek letter Alpha, attack. Suzuki looked at Icarus, who caught up with her and smiled. "Icarus, do you want to compete with me in speed?" "Okay, Master." After Suzuki and Icarus flew around the earth, the expressionless face of Icarus showed a slight fluctuation. "Master, I lost." Suzuki touched her hair and smiled. "You are already very powerful. I have achieved my current strength through very hard training. Next, you will use your ability to attack me. Don't hold back." "This is an order." "I know, Master." Icarus's strength made Suzuki's eyes light up. Although he didn't know how the combat power of this kind of funny harem-type anime was calculated, in terms of attack power, Icarus did cause him some trouble. The only pity was that Icarus hadn't yet evolved into her later form, otherwise her power would have been even greater. Icarus looked at Suzuki and said, "Master, you're very strong. I can't defeat you." If it were Astria, her close combat skills would have been much better for Master. That super idiot, a blonde, busty figure suddenly popped up in Suzuki's mind. Stupid, yes, but her close combat skills were indeed more suitable for her training. "Icarus, will you feel lonely after I summon you? You may never see them again." Icarus shook his head and said, "I have a master. Let's go home." Suzuki smiled and said, "Icarus, I will protect you from now on. Let's go home." Icarus looked at Suzuki's back and smiled. "Okay, Master." For the next 3 days, Suzuki would take some time out from her training to play with Icarus. Icarus would also stay by Suzuki's side, watching him practice. and occasionally practicing with him at Suzuki's request. That morning, Suzuki woke up and saw Icarus still sleeping beside him, feeling helpless. He'd told him every night before bed not to sneak into his bed, but it was no use. Even if he locked the door and nailed it shut, Icarus would still appear next to him the next morning. "Icarus, we're going to Sansan's place today. Once we get there, you absolutely cannot sleep with me, understand?" "Okay, master." Suzuki knew from the look on his face that Icarus hadn't listened. He could already imagine what Takesaki Kirumi would do when she saw him and Icarus sleeping together. After telling Sakuragi Hanamichi that he wouldn't go there until the Shihoku team met the Shoyo team again, Suzuki took Icarus to Takesaki Kirumi's dating world. "Darling, I've been waiting for you for 3 whole days. You have to compensate me." Suzuki smiled and said, "Then I'd better go back. Anyway, I have Icarus to accompany me now." Takesaki Kirumi looked at Icarus, who was holding a big watermelon in his arms, and smiled. "No matter how good Icarus is, she can't be as good as me. I will warm darling's bed every night from now on." "Stop kidding. What's the matter with warming the bed? We haven't reached that point yet." As soon as Suzuki finished speaking, Icarus's voice beside him rang out, "Master, you have to sleep with me at night." Suzuki was numb, and Takesaki Kirumi was dumbfounded. "Sam-san, if I say there is a misunderstanding here, would you believe it?" Takesaki Kirumi sneered. "I waited for you for 3 days. You told me that you wanted to practice, and I believed it. But in the end, you cheated on me outside. I'm going to tell Zhu Zhuqing and the others now. Just wait to be criticized by the 4 of us sisters." Suzuki took Takesaki Kirumi's hand and said, "No, listen to my excuses first." "Bah, can I explain it?" Takesaki Kirumi crossed his arms and said, "You can explain if you want, but you have to follow the rules of my world," Suzuki said with a smile. "Then tell me what the rules are." Takesaki Kirumi smiled and said, "Kiss, this is the theme of our world." Suzuki said angrily, "Stop talking nonsense to me. Do you think I haven't seen Date Alive? The theme of your world is dating." Takesaki Kirumi snorted, "I'm not kidding you. Although the name of our world is Date Alive, don't we always kiss after every date?" Suzuki said angrily. "Takesaki Kirumi, can you please be more civilized when you talk to me now?" Takesaki Kirumi snorted in annoyance. "Can you blame me for this? Don't you see how that white-haired guy talks in the group every day? Not only me, but even Zhu Zhuqing and Linglong talk differently now. Also, don't talk to me about anything else now. Kiss me. I will keep this a secret for you. Otherwise, if other people know that you do this and that with Icarus every night, what will they think of you?" Suzuki said angrily. "Icarus and I didn't do anything." Takesaki Kirumi looked at Icarus and said, "Icarus, do you sleep with your master every night?" Icarus nodded. "Yes." Takesaki Kirumi smiled and said, "See, you guys are sleeping together. Does it matter whether you do other things or not? Even if you explain, will others believe it?" Suzuki gritted her teeth and said, "You win. Close your eyes." "Okay, darling." Takesaki Kirumi smiled, closed her eyes, and pouted. Suzuki smiled, took the big watermelon from Icarus's arms and put it on Takesaki Kirumi's mouth. "Huh? Why does the touch feel wrong?" Takesaki Kirumi opened her eyes instantly after noticing something was wrong. And what she saw was a big green watermelon. PFFT, PFFT, PFFT. She was about to go crazy and wiped her mouth. She said angrily, "Darling, you actually let me give my first kiss to Zigwa. I'm angry." As soon as she finished speaking, Suzuki lowered her head and kissed her lightly on the lips. "Now, are you still angry?" Takesaki Kirumi shook her head woodenly. "Darling, can you kiss me again? It was too short just now, and I didn't feel it well." Suzuki smiled and said, "You said you only wanted to kiss once. Now can you listen to my explanation?" "Darling, you don't need to explain. We all know what kind of personality Icarus has after watching that anime." Takesaki Kirumi suddenly laughed when she said this. "I just wanted to see if you have me in your heart," Suzuki said with a smile. "You are such a clever little ghost. Where are we going later? Do you need me to kill the initial elf for you?" Takesaki Kirumi shook her head and said, "There's no rush for the initial elf. Anyway, darling is here. You can kill her anytime you want. We'll go hunting elves later." Thanks to book friend Shanshanurkun 1209 for the monthly ticket. Chapter 134, Catching an elf requires only 3 steps. Knock it out, put it in a sack, and take it away. Inside the amusement park, Suzuki looked at Takesaki Kirumi, who was holding her arm in hers with a beaming smile, and said, "So, this is what you called hunting spirits?" "Yeah." Tokisaki Kurumi nodded frantically. Icarus pointed to the haunted house in front and said, "Mater, I want to try this." "Oh, Icarus has good taste," Tokisaki Kurumi praised with a smile, looking at Suzuki and saying, "Darling, I want to try it too, but you have to hold on tight for a while. I'm afraid of ghosts." "Ghosts are more afraid of you," Suzuki said inwardly. Tokisaki Kurumi smiled. "Darling, it's not good to say bad things about others in your mind. You're the smartest," Suzuki said in a sullen tone, then smiled. "I haven't been to places like this much before. Since I'm here, let's have some fun." So, for the rest of the day, Suzuki and Tokisaki Kurumi experienced the joy of dating in the world of Date Alive. "Darling, today is the happiest day of my life. Can you kiss me one last time?" Suzuki was amused by Tokisaki Kurumi's words. She looked at her and said, "When we were playing in the haunted house, you said you were afraid of ghosts so you had to kiss me. When we were riding the roller coaster, you said you were afraid of heights so you had to kiss me. Even when I was eating a cold drink, you said you were afraid of the ice and you had to kiss me before you could eat it. When did you, a nightmare, become afraid of so many things?" Tokisaki Kurumi laughed. "Darling, each kiss has a different meaning. This last kiss, after that we'll go catch Pokemon. This time it's for real." Suzuki found Tokisaki Kurumi like this very interesting and kissed her on the cheek. "Isn't that okay now?" "Well, it's a little off, but that's okay." Tokisaki Kurumi smiled happily, took Suzuki's hand and said, "Darling, which Pokemon shall we catch first, or which Pokemon do you like more?" "We'll catch her and raise her at home." Suzuki was speechless. "I don't even know where these Pokemon are. Besides, why do I need so many Pokemon? I don't have that much time." Tokisaki Kurumi smiled and said, "If you catch them all, it would be pleasing to the eye even if you keep them at home. How about this? I'll tell you the locations of the Pokemon I found first. The Angel, Origami Tobiichi, is in Raisin High School, just like in the original book. Shirigakal is in the same class as her, and the Flame Demon, Katorigakal, lives with Shirigakal. The Diva, Mikuyui, is in Ryugaoji Girls College. I've only seen the Princess, Tokyo Tagami, and the Hermit, Shiano Yoshino, twice, but I don't know where they are now. I haven't seen the remaining nun, Nidaya Hanjo, Hashimiya, Roku Hashimiya, Witch, Nana-Sin, and Berserker, Yama Yukuya and Yuzuru Yame. It's just that through my tracking over the past few days, I've discovered that my world is a little strange." Suzuki asked curiously, "How is it strange?" Tokisaki Kurumi's expression suddenly became extremely strange, and she looked at Suzuki and said, "According to my observation, it seems that all of us Pokemons have an inexplicable aversion to Shirigakal. I had the same feeling when I first met her. I didn't think much about it at the time and just thought it might be because it was different from the original, but I found out these days that this is not the case. Her classmate Origami Tobiichi inexplicably stays away from her. And even Katori Itsuka who lives with her is a little distant from her. Although they live under the same roof, the two of them don't communicate much, so I think it's basically impossible to rely on the method in the original book where Shiori Itsuka seals the power of elves through kissing. I originally planned to catch two elves and let them kiss each other for an experiment, but those other elves would cause space shocks at any time, and the group of flies from Team Ast would appear in a few minutes, and there was no way to catch them." Suzuki nodded after listening. Since there was no Shideo Itsuka in this world, it was normal to have some changes, but the method of sealing elves mentioned by Kurumi Tokisaki piqued his interest. "Sam-san, if the method you said is really useful, then why don't you try it? This way you can have all the abilities of other elves." When Tokisaki Kurumi heard this, she suddenly remembered the question he asked herself when he first met Suzuki, and she blushed and said, "I'm not a lesbian. Even if I can get their abilities, I don't care. I can get stronger through the chat group in the future, and I will only kiss darling in my life." "Huh?" Suzuki said with a smile, "I was just making an analogy. Why are you so excited? Then who do you think we should catch first?" Tokisaki Kurumi thought for a while and said, "Origami Tobiichi hasn't awakened the power of elves yet, so there's no rush. As for Katori Itsuka, I don't want to contact her so early. After all, that Murasame Rain is right next to her, so the easiest one to catch now is Yui Miku, and her voice ability is also very interesting. As for how to catch her, I've already thought of a way for darling. When the time comes, you just have to knock her out before she triggers a spastic, and then take her away directly, Xiaoqi said with a black face. What's the difference between this and trafficking young girls? And even if I knock her out, won't she still cause a space shock when she wakes up? Tokisaki Kurumi said indifferently. Then knock her out again until she is convinced. She has been integrated into human society for so long as me. She can definitely control herself from causing a space shock. Xiaoqi nodded. That's true, but I always feel that doing this is a bit like being an evil villain. Tokisaki Kurumi saw that Xiaoqi was still hesitant, pulled his hand and said coquettishly, Darling, don't hesitate. Linglong has been the heroine once, and this time it's my turn. I won't hide it from you. I want to be the heroine of this world. I want those elves to listen to me. Tokisaki Kurumi, just pamper me this time, okay, darling, Xiaoqi said with a smile. Since Sam-san has spoken, then I must satisfy you. Let's go and catch Yui Miku. Tokisaki Kurumi smiled and kissed Xiaoqi on the face. I like you the most, darling. I will lure the enemy later. Darling will be responsible for knocking her out, and finally Icarus will be responsible for putting on the sack. The three of us will have our own responsibilities, and everyone must participate. In a remote corner of Longdon Temple Girls' College, Xiaoqi looked at Icarus, who was holding a large sack beside him, and smiled. Your big watermelon is in my storage ring. I will give it to you later, Icarus said lightly. Master, when are we going home? Xiaoqi asked puzzledly. What's wrong? Are you not having fun here? If you don't like to putting on the sack, then I will do it later. Icarus shook his head at first, then nodded. I'm very happy here, and I will complete the master's orders, but I'm not used to it here. Xiaoqi smiled. Icarus, you have too little contact with others now. You will get used to it slowly in the future. Let's play here for a few days, and when we go home, I will accompany you to play basketball. Okay, master. Not long after, Tokisaki Kurumi arrived here, but Xiaoqi looked behind her and asked in confusion, San-san, why are you alone? Where is Yui Miku? Tokisaki Kurumi said with a bitter face. Darling, I miscalculated. This Yui Miku is different from the original. She not only hates men, but also women, and she has discovered my identity. Xiaoqi was dumbfounded and asked blankly, then isn't she asexual? Tokisaki Kurumi shook her head and said, I don't know her specific situation, but I heard from people in the school that Yui Miku is usually very arrogant, and only a very few people can communicate with her. Darling, just go ahead. If I fight with her, I will definitely attract a swarm of flies. I don't want our future world of two to be disturbed by other people all the time. Xiaoqi nodded and said, okay, then you two go back and wait for me, okay? Tokisaki Kurumi smiled, took Icarus's hand and said, Icarus, let's go back and wait for your master first. Icarus nodded, handed the sack to Xiaoqi, and said, Master, watermelon. After Tokisaki Kurumi and Icarus left, Xiaoqi looked at the sack and gave a wry smile. After some hesitation, she decided to use the Super Saiyan vest to cover Yui Miku's sack. At least it would be difficult for others to recognize her. When Xiaoqi found Yui Miku in the stage theater of Ringanji Girls' College, she was standing alone on the stage singing. Although Xiaoqi didn't know much about music theory, he thought Yui Miku's singing was something. At least he thought it was beautiful. Yui Miku on the stage suddenly stopped singing and shouted to the audience, Who's there? The next second, Yui Miku saw only a golden light flash before her eyes. Before she could react, her eyes went black and she fainted. After successfully putting Yui Miku into the sack, Xiaoqi considerately poked a few small holes in the sack with her fingers to prevent her from suffocating to death, and then carried the sack and escaped from here and returned to Tokisaki Kurumi's home. Tokisaki Kurumi looked at the unconscious Yui Miku in front of her and licked her lips, sneering, You ignored me just now, right? I'm going to torture you later. What I hate most is self-righteous big cows like you. Xiaoqi's mouth twitched involuntarily a few times, and said, San-san, calm down a little. Don't you think the two of us are like villains now? Tokisaki Kurumi smiled and said, Darling, have you forgotten that I am a villain? Otherwise, why would others call me the worst elf? Not long after, the unconscious Yui Miku slowly opened her eyes, but before she could speak, a cold female voice rang in her ears. Diva Yuiomi, I advise you not to think about escaping, let alone triggering a spastic, otherwise I will strip you naked and throw you out. Xiaoqi was speechless as she looked at Tokisaki Kurumi, who was in a yandere state beside her. If you say that to her, it would be a miracle if she didn't resist. Sure enough, within 3 seconds, Yuiomi tried to put on her own divine spirit outfit to resist. Seeing this, Takisuki Kirumi smiled and said, "Darling, this little big cow is not listening, beat her up." Chapter 135 Yui Miku. Yui Xiaomi, who woke up from a coma for the 5th time, became honest. She looked at Takisuki Kirumi and said, "What is your purpose?" Takisuki Kirumi smiled and said, "Allah, since you asked sincerely, I will mercifully tell you." Xiaoqi knocked on Takisuki Kirumi's head and said unhappily, "This line has been used. I will think of a new one for you next time." "Darling, this is what you said. Don't lie to me." Takisuki Kirumi smiled at Xiaoqi, cleared his throat, and looked at Yui Xiaomi and said, "Let me introduce myself. I am Nightmare Takisuki Kirumi. You can also call me the worst elf. The purpose of capturing you is very simple. I want to become the lord of all elves. In addition, I want to make all the elves become Darling's playthings so that he can sleep in the future." Xiaoqi knocked on Takisuki Kirumi's head again and said unhappily, "I never said such a thing." Takisuki Kirumi pouted in pain and said, "Darling, can you please stop hitting me on the head? I don't want to be Takisuki or Yui Miku on the opposite side felt that there was something wrong with Takisuki Kirumi's brain, and sneered, "You think you can become the lord of the elves? All of us elves combined are no match for that elf." Takisuki Kirumi said disdainfully, "The initial elves are shit. 10 of her are no match for my darling. Don't forget how you were captured." After hearing this, Yui Miku turned her gaze to the man next to Takisuki Kirumi. She was sure that the man in front of her was not the one who knocked her out and brought her here. The colors of the two men did not match at all. "It's not him who captured me, so what are you so proud of?" Takisuki Kirumi looked at the other person with disdain and said, "Sure enough, people with big breasts are brainless. You don't even think about who knocked you out again and again after you were captured. How about this? If you don't believe me, you can have a fight with him. If you win, I'll let you go and I'll never appear in front of you again, but if you lose, from now on you have to listen to me. You were the first one I captured, so I'll let you be second, okay?" Yuiomi said, "What if I don't agree to fight him?" Takisuki Kirumi showed a sinister smile at the corner of his mouth. "Then I'll kill you. There's no point keeping you anyway." My darling said, "I have the final say in this world. No matter how I mess around, he will wipe my ass clean." Xiaoqi said with a dark face, "Takisuki Kirumi, if I hear you say this kind of messed up words again in the future, don't even think about being with me again in your life." Takisuki Kirumi instantly put on a docile demeanor and fawned over Xiaoqi. "Darling, it's all that white-haired guy's fault. He's the one who led me astray. From now on, you'll have to shut him up. Don't let him talk." Yuiomiku watched the two flirting in front of her with a wry smile. She was now out of options. Even if the man before her wasn't the one who had knocked her unconscious, even if she managed to escape this time, what would she do if the man who had so easily knocked her unconscious today came back to trouble her? She was an elf after all. Was she supposed to be hiding forever? Thinking of this, Yuiomiku looked at Takisuki Kirumi and said, "I hope you'll keep your word." Takisuki Kirumi smiled and said, "Of course, I'm a good elf who keeps my word." Hearing this, Yuiomiku cursed inwardly. "You're almost the most shameless elf I've ever met." Xiaoqi and Icarus led Takisuki Kirumi and Yuiomiku to an uninhabited island. Xiaoqi looked across at Yuiomiku and said, "Come on, let me see what you're capable of, or you won't stand a chance." Yuiomiku glanced at Icarus, the man who had brought her here, with a complicated expression. The seemingly dazed girl was transformed into something else after switching to that mode. It was like she'd transformed into a spirit after donning the divine power spirit suit, even though he couldn't sense any spiritual energy emanating from her. Takisuki Kirumi, looking at Yuiomiku's hesitation, said impatiently, "Hurry up, bro. You'll have to cook for us when you get back." HMPH, Yuiomiku snorted at Takisuki Kirumi, donning her own divine power spirit suit, and looked at Xiaoqi, pleading, "Please let me get out of here. I beg you." Xiaoqi was confused at first, but soon realized it was one of Yuiomiku's abilities. Xiaoqi spread her hands and said, "That move doesn't seem to work on me. Let's try something else." "Then try mine, Pajin songstress." As Yuiomiju finished her words, a massive organ appeared behind her. However, no matter what music she played or how loud she uttered, it had no effect on Xiaoqi. "How is that possible?" Miju stared in disbelief at the unharmed man across from her. Your abilities are truly fascinating. As a token of my gratitude, let me show you something you haven't seen before. Xiaoqi clenched her fists and instantly transformed into a Super Saiyan. It's really you. Miju covered her mouth in surprise as she looked at the man before her, whose transformation emanated a golden aura. Takisaki Kirumi scoffed. I told you before, you just didn't believe me, darling. Those flies are almost here. Let's knock the little big cow unconscious and go home. No, I can do it myself. Ayamaku hadn't finished her words when she felt her eyes go dark and fainted again. When she regained consciousness, she looked at Xiaoqi and said, I lost. Tell me, what do you want me to do? Xiaoqi replied, I'm curious. Why do you hate men and women? Ayamaku gave a wry smile and began to recount her story. Much of the story was the same as in the original novel. After refusing the advances of a TV producer, she was embroiled in a series of smear campaigns, her reputation plummeted, and she was betrayed by a male fan. The only difference was that Ayamaku discovered that the people behind her deliberate slander were women, and she developed a hatred for them as well. Later, when she contemplated suicide, the original spirit appeared and bestowed upon her the power of a spirit. The first thing she did after gaining power was to kill the producer and the group of women who had previously slandered her. Her current arrogance is simply a desire to trample everyone under her feet. She no longer trusts any human. She only engages in conversation with people who, like her, deeply love singing and regard music as their life. After listening, Xiaoqi looked at Takisaki Kirumi and said, Samson, I have always had a question. Since Gakal Shideo is gone, why does the original elf still want to share its power with you? Who do you think she wants to resurrect? Is it possible that it is related to Gakal Shiri? Takisaki Kirumi smiled and said, Darling, this question is no longer important. Because no matter who she wants to resurrect in this world, or what her purpose is, she will not succeed, right? Xiaoqi smiled and said, Yes, I was confused this time. Yuimaku said weakly at this time, Do you really want to go against the original elf? Takisaki Kirumi said unhappily, Why can't you understand, woman? I'll say it one last time, we are not going to go against her, but to kill her, and my darling will vent my anger from me. As for you, I don't care what you were like before, but from now on, you'd better abandon your past arrogance. How did you say that sentence? Oh, I remember now. It's okay to pretend in front of others, but don't even think about it in front of us. From now on, you will just listen to darling and me. I promise that no one can bully you. If anyone dares to come, we will kill him directly. Of course, I don't object you if you want to be darling's lover, but you can only be a lover. It will definitely not be your turn to be the main wife. Do you understand, you little big cow, pa? As soon as Takisaki Kirumi finished speaking, she was slapped in the butt. You won't be the first wife. Takisaki Kirumi covered her butt and said pitifully, Darling, if I can't give birth to your cub in the future, it's all because of the slap you gave me today. Ha ha ha. Xiaoqi couldn't help laughing, but quickly covered her mouth and whispered, Sorry, I didn't mean it. Xiaoqi smiled and said, It's okay. Although Samson's words were a bit rough, she was right about one thing. As long as she wants to kill the initial elves one day, I will fulfill this wish for her. So after saying so much, can you tell me your answer now? Xiaoqi looked at Xiaoqi and said, You have completely shattered my arrogance. My little power is nothing in front of you. If you can protect me in the future, I am willing to join you to deal with the initial elves. Xiaoqi smiled and shook her head. You still don't understand. I can deal with the initial elves by myself. You don't need to do it. All you need to do is become Sanson's first friend in this world. As for your safety, you can rest assured, Takisaki Kirumi said anxiously. A darling isn't a friend, but a younger sister who listens to me. I'm the eldest, she's the second, and the elves who join later will line up in order. Xiaoqi smiled and said, Okay, then I'll join you. I'll try my best to become friends with Takisaki Kirumi. By the way, since you're looking for elves, I happen to know where an elf often appears, but she usually only appears in the afternoon. Xiaoqi nodded and said, Then let's go tomorrow. Let me introduce myself, Xiaoqi. Xiaoqi looked at the other person's outstretched hand, hesitated for a moment, and then shook it. Xiaoqi, elf, codenamed Diva, please advise me. Thanks to the book friends and passers-by who like the novel for their monthly tickets. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136 Namikaze Minato, Boruto, I am your grandfather. In the evening, after dinner, Xiaoqi went out alone to find a place to practice. After the hostess Takesaki Kurumi finished her duties with a new arrival, Uyomi Miku, she happily lounged on the sofa and chatted in the group chat. Takesaki Kurumi, at Linglong, sisters, today is such a joyous day. Linglong, a date, and a sack, how can I not be happy? That Uyomi Miku is truly pitiful. Sakata Gintoki, Sansen, Jin-san, I've always been nice to you, haven't I? Can you catch a Pokemon for Jin-san, too? Takesaki Kurumi, how? Who do you want? Sakata Gintoki, Jin-san isn't interested in brats. How about this, you catch Mio's mom and bring her to Jin-san, and Jin-san will put her to sleep with you and avenge you. Linglong, you're the best at having fun. Jin-san, Takesaki Kurumi, oh, cough cough, are you sick? She's my enemy. Sakata Gintoki, that's right, so Jin-san will avenge you in another way. If you like, Jin-san can let Mio's mother call you mom in the future. Nami. 666, Namikaze Minato, only our Jin-san can do this. Himejima Akino, oh, I think this is a good idea at Takesaki Kurumi, congratulations on becoming a mother. Takesaki Kurumi, I can't stand it anymore at Himejima Akino, at Sakata Gintoki, you two idiots, get together. Sakata Gintoki, I'm sorry, ladies, Jin-san now has a special liking for women with silver white hair. Himejima Akino, oh, it seems I've been abandoned. Kashiwazaki Sina, at Sakata Gintoki, I have a small problem. Sakata Gintoki, little cutie, what's your problem? Kashiwazaki Sina, Jin-san, how are you going to meet Mio's mother? Sansen's sister hasn't triggered any quests about her since she joined the group. Takesaki Kurumi, I don't need to trigger quests. I have darling, and that's enough. Zhu Zhuqing, I'll give you a chance to reorganize your words. Linglong, Sansen, you want to betray our sisterhood, right? Takesaki Kurumi, I was wrong. I feel wrong. JPG, Namikaze Minato, speaking of quests, everyone's been relatively free lately. How about I trigger one for fun? Aizen Sosuke, I can trigger one if necessary. Kashiwazaki Sina, I really envy you guys who can trigger quests at any time. Why am I so miserable in comparison? Aizen Sosuke, I think you've all fallen into a misunderstanding. In fact, you don't necessarily have to trigger quests according to the plot on the original work. Kashiwazaki Sina, boss, please elaborate. Aizen Sosuke, the plot is only part of the story. Some of us need to follow the plot for various reasons, but some of us are in situations quite different from the original storyline. So why not try creating a new plot yourself? Xiaoqi, yes, as expected of Master Lan, you're absolutely right. Zhu Zhuqing, did you know that a long time ago? Xiaoqi, you're stupid. The plot will eventually come to an end. After that, isn't it up to you guys to create your own plots? Zhu Zhuqing, who are you calling stupid? Xiaoqi, sorry, I misread it. I thought it was Linglong. Linglong, angry JPG. Kashiwazaki Hona, Linglong's sister, don't be angry at Xiaoqi, then why couldn't I have created the Neighbors Club back then? Xiaoqi, didn't you also say that everyone else had been invited out by Mikazuki Yuzora in advance? Why didn't you think of recruiting them? Kashiwazaki Hona. Linglong, so, how exactly do we trigger other quests? Crazy JPG. Aizen Sosuke, that depends on your identities. Linglong, idle. I don't understand things this complicated at Xiaoqi, please translate. Xiaoqi, let me give you the simplest example. Sakuragi and Jin-san are the male protagonists of our respective worlds, so triggering quests for them is the easiest. Xiaoqi, after reading the original manga, Sakuragi still joins Shohoku. What if he joins another school? Wouldn't his story quests be lost? Linglong, yes. Xiaoqi, since there are no story quests, what quests would he trigger? My guess is original quests, like having Sakuragi lead a certain school to win the county championship or the national championship. Nami, what about Baymeo? Why hasn't he ever triggered a single quest? Xiaoqi, does he look like someone who wants to trigger quests, just sitting around eating and waiting to die? Sakata Gintoki, hey, what's the meaning of living off the land and waiting to die? Jin-san, I've actually known this for a long time. I'm just testing whether you can figure it out on your own. Nami, go to hell, I'd be a fool to trust you. Zhu Zhuqing, then why haven't I triggered the original quest yet? Xiaoqi, this is what Landa just said about each of your identities. Although you were one of the original Shrek 7 devils in Daluo Dalu, you were only a marginal figure. Xiaoqi, Tang-san is indeed gone, but we still have Bibi Dong and Jin Ringsu. Aren't they the two who benefited the most from Tang-san's death? Of course, it's not ruled out that the gods over there are pulling someone over to become the protagonist. Zhu Zhuqing, so all I have to do next is get close to them to trigger the quest? Xiaoqi, I can't say for sure, but I have a good chance. Isn't there someone in Xiandao City? You can go try. Zhu Zhuqing, why do I feel like you're deliberately trying to get me close to Jinringsu? Sakata Gintoki, Takakio, sister, you could be more confident and remove the word intentionally. Linglong, forget about Jinringsu or not, what should I do? Zhang Chulin is still here, and you want me to go to him? Would you be willing to do that? Xiaoqi, you're so stupid. Zhang Chulin is still here, but you could have snatched up all his storylines ahead of time. For example, the Biao village incident and the Kinling treasure land incident, could you have gone there with Hua by yourself? Linglong, that seems to be true. Xiaoqi, at Kuroba Kato, are you off work yet? Kuroba Kato, I just stole the gem and was about to run away. What's wrong? Xiaoqi, nothing, I just wanted to ask when the main storyline will start on your side. Kuroba Kato, it should be soon. I'll get involved to trigger the quest then. Xiaoqi, see? Talking to people with high IQs is just easier. Linglong, so what if he's smart? Can he be your wife? Can he give birth to little Saiyans for you to play with in the future? Sakata Gintoki, Jin-san thinks it's fine. Kato has a talent for cross-dressing. As long as he gets his balls cut off, it shouldn't be a problem. Kuroba Kato, get out of here, you Sakata Gintoki. Xiaoqi, so do you understand now? There are many ways to trigger quests. It's up to you to choose. Ding, Uzumaki Boruto has joined the chat group. Ding, Euclid Halseth has joined the chat group. Ding, Tsunade has joined the chat group. Namikaze Minato, oh my god. I'm so fucking excited. This is going to be a lively place. Kuroba Kato, off to the office, ready to eat some melons and watch the show. Takisaki Kurumi, Tisk. The supersized cow is here, at Himejima Akino, you'll only be second from now on, Himejima Akino. Oh, I have nothing to say about losing to this one, Sakata Gintoki, at Himejima Akino. No, she's already starting to sag, so you're still number one, Linglong. When I saw those two names, I knew something interesting was going to happen. Snacks are ready, let's sit back and watch. Xiaoqi, everyone, be quiet now at Namikaze Minato, please start your performance. Namikaze Minato, at Uzumaki Boruto, grandson, call me grandpa, Uzumaki Boruto, Kashiwazaki Sina, ha, you got me fired up right away with that first sentence. Sorry, keep going, Namikaze Minato, at Uzumaki Boruto, don't you recognize me, Uzumaki Boruto? I know Namikaze Minato, he's my father's father, but he died a long time ago, Uzumaki Boruto, at Tsunade, Grandma Tsunade, why are you here too, Tsunade, at Uzumaki Boruto, who are you, Tsunade, at Namikaze Minato, aren't you already dead? Where is this place, Namikaze Minato, at Tsunade, let me ask you a question first. What year is it in Konoha now, Tsunade? It's the 64th year of Konoha, 17 years have passed since your death. Is this a place where you can talk to the dead, Namikaze Minato? I get it. You can shut up now, Tsunade. Minato, what do you mean, Namikaze Minato, at Uzumaki Boruto, grandson, how old are you this year, Uzumaki Boruto? I'm 12 years old this year and will graduate from the Ninja Academy in a while. Are you really my father's father, Namikaze Minato? Although I'm only 24 years old now, you are indeed my grandson. I'll have a video call with you later to prove it to you, Uzumaki Boruto. Okay, then I'll go tell my father that you're alive, Namikaze Minato. Don't tell your father about this yet. No, tell my son. I'll tell you all these things slowly, Namikaze Minato, call me grandpa first, Uzumaki Boruto. No, I won't call you that until you prove that you are really my grandpa, Namikaze Minato. Haha, the little guy is quite alert. Much smarter than Naruto when he was a child. Tsunade, Minato, are you alive or dead now? Namikaze Minato, shut up, old woman. Tsunade, Minato, I'm giving you face, right? Whether you are alive or dead, come out now if you have the guts. Uzumaki Boruto, Granny Tsunade, calm down first. Arguing is not good. Tsunade, shut up. Who is your Granny Tsunade? There is no such person as Uzumaki Boruto in our Konoha village, Uzumaki Boruto, but I always call you that. My father calls you that too, Tsunade. Get lost, Namikaze Minato. Tsunade, if you dare to be mean to my grandson again, I will come and destroy your Konoha right now. Chapter 137. Minato and Tsunade lash out at each other. Dating world. Xiaoqi had returned to Takesaki Kurumi's house, enjoying a glass of watermelon while watching the gentle Minato Namikaze lash out at Tsunade in the group chat. During the time he'd rushed back, Tsunade had already learned some of Minato's current situation. More importantly, they were still from the same era. Minato Namikaze, if I were you, I'd be embarrassed to take over the Hokage position. It's shameless, Tsunade. I only came back to take over because your good son begged me to come back. Minato Namikaze, bullshit. Naruto was so young back then, what could he understand? He was fooled by you shameless old bidens. Minato Namikaze, Sarutobi Hiruzen died quickly, otherwise I would have killed him again. Minato Namikaze, and you all too. Naruto had such a miserable childhood, and none of you cared about him. Don't you dare tell me you don't know Naruto is my son? Tsunade, what does this have to do with me? I wasn't in Konoha at the time. Why didn't you go find Jiraiya and Kakashi? One of them is your teacher, and the other is your disciple. Minato Namikaze, it's okay that Jiraiya died. I'll find time to have a good talk with Kakashi. Minato Namikaze, as for you, if you had stayed out, I wouldn't have said anything, but in the end, you still came back to Konoha with such a shameless attitude, pretending to be the fifth Hokage. Minato Namikaze, don't say it was Naruto who begged you. If you really didn't want to come back, no one's begging you would be of any use. You're getting more shameless the older you get. No wonder no one wants you. Tsunade, that's enough, Minato. I admit that Naruto had a hard time as a child, but he's grown up and is now an indispensable member of the village. Minato Namikaze, damn it, you're making me even angrier when you say that. You guys are just after the Nine Tails power within Naruto. If it weren't for that, Naruto would have been killed by you guys long ago. Namikaze Minato, I'm putting it out there today. I'm going to kill Danzo. If you dare to stop me, I'll strip you naked and throw you on Jin-san's bed. Sakata Gintoki, Namikaze Minato, good brother, although Tsunade is a little older, it's not unacceptable to Jin-san. Tsunade, Sakata Gintoki, get out of here. Namikaze Minato, Tsunade, what are you pretending to be like? It's good enough that a man wants you. Sakata Gintoki, Tsunade, damn it, I can't stand it anymore. If you have the guts, come to the Hokage building right now and let's duel. Namikaze Minato, duel? It's not that I look down on you, but with one glimpse of my Samsara eye, I'll make you kneel on the ground and call me daddy. Xiaoqi, sorry, I really can't help it. Minato, where did you learn so many dirty words? Namikaze Minato, I've learned a few things from knowing you guys for a while, but I never had the chance to do so normally. Today's the perfect time to put them to use. Tsunade, Xiaoqi, who do you think you are? What business do you have in a conversation between two Hokages? Takesaki Kurumi, old woman, if you dare call me a darling again, come and see. Linglong, that's right, don't force me to carry rice in Konoha. Namikaze Minato, Tsunade, calling you big-breasted and brainless is really flattering you. Are you blind to the word administrator? Namikaze Minato, besides, in terms of strength, the entire ninja world combined is not enough to defeat him alone. He can send you to face your grandfathers right there with a single Kamehameha. Tsunade, Minato, can you please be kind? I know you're upset about Naruto. I can pretend I didn't see you wanting to kill that old man Danzo, and I'll make amends to Naruto in the future. Namikaze Minato, who needs you to pretend you didn't see? Not only will I kill him, I'll kill him openly. As for Naruto, Kushina and I will take good care of him in the future. I don't need your so-called compensation. Tsunade, Kushina has resurrected too. Namikaze Minato, it's none of your business. You know Kushina's temper. Just wait and see. Tsunade, do you want to destroy Konoha? Don't forget that you are the 4th Hokage, Namikaze Minato. Bullshit 4th Hokage. I am Minato Namikaze of the Yorazuian now. Don't try to get close to me, Uzumaki Boruto. Let me ask you timidly, if Konoha is gone, will I still be there? Namikaze Minato, don't be afraid, grandson. If I really want to destroy Konoha, I will bring your mother out first, Uzumaki Boruto. Okay, then I'm relieved. Namikaze Minato, Tsunade, I'm too lazy to waste time with a stupid woman like you. Even though you've joined the group, just be a good mascot and don't do useless things for me. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind giving you a crack like Uchiha Madara. Takesaki Kurumi, I support you. There's no need to be polite with such a big shot. Tsunade, Minato, can we talk calmly? You must be dying to see Naruto right now. I can arrange a meeting for you and I won't let anyone know about your situation. Namikaze Minato, are you trying to teach me how to do things? If you keep on talking nonsense, I'll have the administrator ban you forever at Uzumaki Boruto, my grandson. Let's go video chat? Uzumaki Boruto, okay. Linglong, I'm having a blast watching this. This is the first time I've seen Minato like this. Nami, me too at Xiaoqi, I even did a live broadcast for your wee. Xiaoqi, thanks. I'll show you some mercy when we get to the Enforcement Island plot. Nami, go to hell. Kashiwazaki Sina, actually, Uncle Minato, no, it's Brother Minato who's right. Those people in Konoha went too far with his son. Sakata Gintoki, so, all of this is Danzo's fault. Tsunade, that's right, it's all Danzo's fault. Takesaki Kurumi, we're just chatting about memes, what's none of your business? Just be your mascot. Tsunade, you. Takesaki Kurumi, what, you're not convinced? Even if you're not convinced, you have to keep it to yourself. Everyone here is on Minato's side. Agatsuma Yuno, Tsunade, I support you, sister. Let's kill this bad elf together. Takesaki Kurumi, you're crazy. Why are you showing off? Get out of here. Kuroba Kato, aren't you curious about the fact that 2 people from the same timeline appeared in this group? Aizen Sosuke, you could say yes, and you could say no. Linglong, idol, could you please not be so profound every time? Xiaoqi, please translate. Sakata Gintoki, Hashidamade, now is not the time to discuss these boring questions. Did you forget about the other silver-haired cutie? Nami, I was so engrossed in the show just now that I almost forgot there was someone else. Linglong, Sakata Gintoki, isn't this the type you like? I leave it to you. Sakata Gintoki, no. Although this cutie has silver hair, Jin-san has already said he's not interested in brats, not to mention that this cutie looks underage. Kashiwazaki Sina, ugh, my cutie title is gone. Sakata Gintoki. At Kashiwazaki Sina, don't cry, you're still Jin-san's cutie, just on par. Xiaoqi, at Euclidwood, let's chat. Don't worry, there's no problem talking here, you can speak freely, Euclidwood, okay, Xiaoqi, can I introduce yourself to everyone? Euclidwood, sure, Xiaoqi, at Sakata Gintoki, you just said she's underage, right? That's a funny joke. I don't know her exact age, but she's probably a few hundred. Sakata Gintoki, what, Aizen Sosuke, it seems this one is also a special one. Euclidwood, at Xiaoqi, age is not an option. Xiaoqi, let's talk about her other abilities. Her healing abilities are incredibly powerful, comparable to Senzu Beans in some ways, but the side effect is that while she heals our wounds, she also suffers the pain of the injured. Euclidwood, correct. Linglong, hiss so powerful? She's like a walking Senzu Beans. We have to bring her with us on our team from now on. Nami, at Xiaoqi, hurry up, go on. Xiaoqi, her second ability might be very appealing to you girls. She can transform others into Majo girls through a specific disguise medium, regardless of gender. At Kuroba Kato. Kuroba Kato, no, why are you tagging me? I already said I only wear women's clothing for work. Linglong, I want to change. Kashiwazaki Hashina, +1. Nami, +2. Zhu Zhuqing, +3. Himejima Akino, +4. Takesaki Kurumi, at Himejima Akino, stop changing. Wearing that kind of clothing is disrespectful to clothes. Himejima Akino, oh, actually, Sometimes I really want to be like you, at Takesaki Kurumi. Takesaki Kurumi, humph, darlings like my kind. Xiaoqi, the next ability might interest you more, at Aizom Sosuke. Aizen Sosuke, I'm all ears. Xiaoqi, her third ability is Word Spirit. She uses the magic within her to make her words come true. You can think of it as an indiscriminate attack. Therefore, to avoid disturbing others, she usually speaks in a pamphlet. Euclid would, also, the armor I wear is used to suppress my own power. Aizen Sosuke, that's a truly interesting ability. I hope to meet you someday, at Euclidwood Hellsace. Xiaoqi, at Euclidwood, let me add one more thing for you, don't say the word die in front of her anymore, because she understands the pain of death better than anyone. Euclidwood, thank you. Linglong, while this ability is powerful, it must be very painful for you, at Euclidwood. Euclidwood, I'm used to it. Sakata Gintoki, my little cutie, Jin-san will love you from now on. Euclidwood, thank you. Xiaoqi, now, let me tell you about her final ability. I'm sure you'll all be interested, Nami, and? This little girl, no, how strong is this sister? Xiaoqi, her blood can make people immortal and resurrect, all members, what? Euclidwood, correction, it can be resurrected as a zombie. Chapter 138 None of these elves' personalities are normal. Euclidwood Hellside's abilities drove everyone in the chat group into a frenzy, instantly making her the most popular person there, bar none. To better understand Euclidwood's abilities, they all watched the anime Is This a Zombie? Last night. As for Boruto Next Generations, even grandfather Minato Namikaze said he'd wait until he finished watching Is This a Zombie? Before watching his eldest grandson's show. New member Tsunade wanted to watch it, but on her first day in the group, she had no points at all. Even when she shamelessly asked for points, only Yuno Agatsuma lent her 500. In stark contrast to Tsunade were the treatment Boruto Uzumaki and Euclidwood received. The former, with Minato Namikaze's connections, would surely enjoy a comfortable life in the group. The latter, on the other hand, was even more impressive. Everyone was desperately trying to establish a good relationship with her. It's no exaggeration to describe Euclidwood as a national treasure. Xiaoqi, who had watched this anime countless times, slept the best among all of them last night. Master, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to you too. Xiaoqi nodded at the two of them, then looked at Yuimiku and said, is it convenient for you to accompany me somewhere today? Yuimiku stopped eating and nodded, of course, you can. Won't you take Kurumi with you? Xiaoqi recalled that Kurumi Takesaki had sneaked into her room in the second half of the night last night, and was still sleeping soundly without any image. She smiled and said, she played late last night. Let her sleep a little longer. Yuimiku nodded again, then where are we going? Don't worry about that. Let's talk about it after dinner. After finishing breakfast, Xiaoqi looked at Icarus and said, Icarus, please stay at home in the morning. When Sansan wakes up, tell her that Yuimiku and I are going out to find her sisters. Okay, master. The elves that Xiaoqi is looking for this time are the Yame sisters. In the original work, the two first appeared on an island during Shidogaka's school trip. However, he wasn't familiar with the geography of this world, so he needed a local guide, Yuimiku, to lead the way. After the two flew for a while, Yuimiku looked at the island below and said, based on your description, it should be that island, but will those two Pokemon really appear here? Let's try our luck. If we don't, just consider it a short stroll. Xiaoqi then produced 2 sacks and handed one to Yuimiku, saying with a smile, if they appear, I'll knock them out. Then we'll each trap one, so you can experience the joy of trapping a Pokemon. Yuimiku looked at the sack in her hands and smiled awkwardly. Okay. However, as the two of them explored the entire island, they found no sign of the Yame sisters. Looks like this was a wasted trip. Let's go back. Shortly after Xiaoqi finished speaking, the weather on the island suddenly changed. Dark clouds gathered in the sky, and a strong wind suddenly rose. Yuimiku looked up at the sky, puzzled. There's clearly no Spasquake happening around here, so why are the ASTs chasing that Pokemon? Xiaoqi was even more confused than Yuimiku. Aren't there supposed to be 2 Yame sisters? Why is there only one? Where is the other? Before Xiaoqi could think, the Pokemon flew over to Yuimiku and said, you're a Pokemon too, right? I don't know why you're here. But can you help me take care of those ASTs? Both Suzuki and Yui Miku noticed that the Pokemon before them was in extremely poor condition. Otherwise, the ASTs would have been no match for her. Just as Yui Miku was about to knock her out and put her in a sack, the ASTs surrounded the three of them and, without a word, launched missiles at them. After Suzuki used his key to create a protective barrier that blocked all the missiles, he glanced at the AST members and said gravely, "Miku, leave these people to me. Keep an eye on this elf." "Oh, okay." Yui Miku could sense that Suzuki's current aura was completely different from before, like a beast spotting its prey and about to strike. Suzuki had originally only intended to drive these AST members away, but since you've already opened fire on me without a second thought, don't blame me for being rude to you. Besides, he didn't recognize any of these people. Miku looked at Suzuki, who was killing people in front of her, and couldn't help muttering, "He's so handsome like this." The elf next to her asked curiously, "Hey, who is he? Since when did there become men among the elves?" Miku, whose thoughts were interrupted, looked at the other party and said unhappily, "Why are you asking so many questions? If you don't want to suffer physical pain, just listen to me in the future, and I can let you be the third one. You're crazy." The next second after she finished scolding, she suddenly felt her eyes go black, and then she fainted. Miku looked at the elf who had fainted on the ground and snorted coldly, "How can you, a wounded elf, have the courage to scold me? Today I will let you taste the feeling of being put in a sack." After dealing with AST, Suzuki looked at Miku and said, "Miju, where's that elf man?" Miku pointed to the sack on the ground and smiled, "Darling, I have packed it for you. Let's take her back for interrogation." "Darling." Suzuki looked at Miku in front of her with a strange expression when she heard this word and said, "What has stimulated you?" Miku took Suzuki's arm and said, "Darling, what are you talking about? I just think that what Kwang-san said to me yesterday makes sense, and you said you would protect me in the future. Could it be that this woman's nympho attribute has been activated?" Suzuki said bitterly in his heart, looked at the other party and said, "Let's go back and talk about it, okay, darling?" After the two returned home, Tokisuke Kirumi looked at the two intimate people and asked curiously, "Darling, you conquered Miku so quickly." Suzuki said unhappily, "I didn't do anything well." Miku on the side smiled and said, "Darling, although you didn't do anything, you did everything." Tokisuke Kirumi said unhappily, "Miku, the title of darling is exclusive to me. You are not allowed to use it in the future." Miku walked to Tokisuke Kirumi and suddenly hugged her, rubbing her face and said, "Kuong-san-chan, Sansan-chan, can we discuss it? I like this title too." Tokisuke Kirumi struggled and shouted, "Miku, can you be normal? I now order you to return to your previous arrogant look." "What, arrogant or not, didn't you teach me yesterday? It's okay to pretend in front of others, but you don't have to pretend in front of you." Miku, can you stop rubbing? The skin on my face is almost broken by you." At that moment, Tokisuke Kirumi felt like she had shot herself in the foot. Helplessly, she could only look at Suzuki and plead, "Darling, save me." Suzuki looked at the two and said with amusement, "Sansan, this is what you call it. Miku, stop playing around. Let's go interrogate that elf first." "Okay, darling." This time, under the coercion, inducement, and intimidation of Tokisuke Kirumi and Yui Miku, Fuudayame completely surrendered after fainting 3 times and joined their team. According to Fuudayame herself, her current state was caused by her failure to split her personality into 2. After listening to this, Suzuki nodded and said, "I see. Then you should have a good rest first. As for whether to split up again in the future, it's up to you to decide." After lunch, Miju couldn't wait to grab Suzuki and Tokisuke Kirumi's hands and said, "Darling, Sansan sauce, let's go put on the sack." Suzuki sighed silently. This Miju's character was completely collapsed, and Tokisuke Kirumi on the side said with despair, "Darling, I was wrong. I will never dare to play like this again." When the 3 of them came to park under the leadership of Miju, Suzuki recognized the blue-haired little lolly elf playing in front of her at a glance. It turned out to be Shion. Tokisuke Kirumi laughed and said, "Darling, this little lolly is easy to fool. Leave it to me." Miju on the side smiled and said, "Sansan sauce, remember to knock her out later. I'll put on the sack." Tokisuke Kirumi turned her head and looked at the other party and said, "Miku, please, let's not put on the sack this time, okay? Let's be normal from now on." Tokisaki Kirumi did bring Yoshino with her this time, but if Yoshino in the original work was docile, timid, and had social phobia, then the Yoshino in front of them now was the complete opposite. It would not be an exaggeration to say that she had social phobia. Big brother, big sister, do you want to play with Saiyan? The kind where you die if you lose? The next second, the rabbit-shaped hand puppet Shiana in Saiyan's hand opened her mouth and said, I'm sorry. I disturbed you. Suzuki looked at Saiyan and Shiana, whose personalities had been completely reversed, with a confused look on her face, and said, Sansan, explain, what's going on? Tokisaki Kirumi shook her head and said with a bitter face, Darling, I really don't know about this. I don't know why they all became like this, but don't worry, your Sansan is normal. Suzuki said in a bad mood, you are normal at all. I don't know where your personality has gone astray a long time ago, Yuimiku said nonchalantly. Darling, why bother with her so much? Let's put her in a sack and take her back first. If we delay for too long, those annoying flies will come again. At this moment, a space earthquake alarm sounded around them. As the people nearby took refuge in the shelter, a figure appeared in the sky above Suzuki and the others. Saiyan looked up at the person and shouted, Big sister, what are we going to play today? Chapter 139 Accidentally learned Gakal divine skills. Sansan, Miku, you two hold down Yoshino while I capture Xiang. No, Yotagami Toka. Okay, darling, they agreed in unison, immediately donning their own Kamui spirit suits. Soaring into the air, Suzuki breathed a sigh of relief as she gazed upon Yotagami Toka, a figure with a cold expression and the Aoshoko in hand. Finally, a normal Pokemon. Suzuki speculated that this might be because she was the only Pokemon born directly from a spirit crystal. Human, are you trying to kill me too? Suzuki shook her head. I'm here to make friends. No way, Yotagami Toka roared, pointing her massive sword at Suzuki. I'll finish you off right now. What the hell is this? Why are you even asking me this? Just as Suzuki was mentally complaining about the abnormality of this world, members of Team AST were rapidly approaching them. Suzuki took a closer look. Who knows, it was none other than the origami master Tobiachi Origami. Yotagami Toka and Yoshino alone were already giving him enough headaches, so who knows what kind of personality this world's Tobiachi Origami will have. Sansan, Miku, get ready to put yourselves in sacks and run. Suzuki instantly transformed into Super Saiyan, knocking Yotagami Toka and Yoshino unconscious. While Tokisaki Kirumi and Miku were sacking them, they deflected AST's missiles and, using the rising smoke, escaped with Tokisaki Kirumi and Miku. Atop a mountaintop, Suzuki, Tokisaki Kirumi, and Miku watched the two Pokemon, now knocked unconscious for who knows how many times, and they were in a state of panic. All the previous tactics were no match for them. Tokisaki Kirumi looked at Suzuki and said, Darling, since the elves in this world are not normal, I can only use my ultimate move. Miju on the side asked curiously, San, what is the ultimate move? Tokisaki Kirumi gritted her teeth and said, let darling sleep with him. I don't believe they can still be so stubborn after losing their virginity. Before Suzuki could open her mouth to refuse, Miju excitedly shouted, no, if darling wants to sleep with me, he should sleep with me first. I am second in line, and they have to line up behind. Suzuki knocked them on the head and said unhappily, both of you shut up. San, if you dare to talk nonsense again, I will go back now. Miju, who thought she was going back to Tokisaki Kirumi's house, smiled and said, darling, let's go home. It doesn't matter if you don't want these two elves. You already have me anyway. Tokisaki Kirumi smiled embarrassedly and said, darling, I accidentally said something just now. I wanted to say that I could get them by going on a date. Didn't you say before that the theme of my world is dating? Then let's have a three-person date battle this time. Miji nodded and said, I agree with this proposal. I haven't dated darling yet. Tokisaki Kirumi looked at her unhappily and said, the two of us are just supporting this time, but if you perform well, I can let you have a date with darling alone next time. Miji thought for a while and said, okay, that's what you said. Suzuki said at this time, this request is reliable, but how can we convince the two of them to agree? Tokisaki Kirumi smiled and said, leave it to me, I will definitely convince them in a serious way this time. After Yotagami Toka and Saiyan woke up again, Tokisaki Kirumi looked at the two of them and said, Don't make trouble, you two. I have a suggestion here, Tokisaki Kurumi said here and pointed to Suzuki and said, do you dare to play a game with him next? Shion nodded and said, okay, but will I turn around if I lose? The puppet Shiona said, I'm sorry, Shiona didn't mean it. Tokisaki Kurumi tried hard not to explode, took a deep breath to calm herself down, looked at Shiona and said, if you lose, you just need to listen to me in the future. If I lose, you can make any request you want. Shiona said, okay, then what game should I play with him? Tokisaki Kurumi did not rush to answer her question, but looked at Yotagami Toka and said, Yotagami Toka, what about you? Do you dare to play? Yotagami Toka asked doubtfully, are you calling me? Tokisaki Kurumi was stunned for a moment before she remembered that Yotagami Toka had no name now. She looked at the other party and said, this name he just gave you. How about it? Doesn't it sound good, Yotagami Toka? After repeating the name silently for several times, Yotagami Toka suddenly walked up to Suzuki and said, Toka is a good name. What should I call you? You can call me Suzuki, or you can call me Xiaoqi, whatever you like. Yotagami Toka gave Suzuki a faint smile. Then I'll call you Xiaoqi. Xiaoqi, she just said you want to play a game with me and Yoshino. What game is it? Tokisaki Kurumi then said, let me explain. It's called a date. You two will go on a date with Xiaoqi. A date? Yotagami Toka and Yoshino both looked puzzled. Tokisaki Kurumi smiled and said, yes, it's a date. He'll arrange the details. You two just need to tell us how you feel after the date. If you feel happy, we win. Otherwise, you win. Yotagami Toka and Yoshino looked at each other and nodded, saying at the same time, okay, we accept this date game. So, under the planning of Tokisaki Kurumi and Yui Miku, the two dog-headed military officers, Suzuki took Yotagami Toka and Yoshino to play all over the commercial street and snack street. During their date, Suzuki noticed that, aside from a slight aversion to humans, Toka Yotagami's behavior remained largely the same as in the original novel. However, Yoshino was a bit of a headache for him. He was genuinely curious about what had happened to her that had caused such a dramatic change in her personality. After Suzuki concluded their date, Toka Yotagami and Yoshino returned to the mountain top. Tokisaki Kurumi looked at the two smiling women and said, it looks like we've won this game. Suzuki looked at Yoshino and said, Yoshino, can you tell me about your past? The smile on Yoshino's face faded at this question, and she looked at Suzuki and said, if I tell you, will you continue to play the date game with me? Suzuki nodded and smiled. Of course. Toka Yotagami then said, Xiaoqi, and you have to continue dating me too. Okay, next time, the three of us will go on a date together. Yoshino then slowly began to recount her experiences since becoming a spirit. Yoshino's personality initially mirrored that of the original story, a timid one, yet she made a good friend who, even after learning of her identity as a spirit, continued to play with her. However, one day, while playing with her friend, Yoshino was suddenly attacked by an AST. To protect her friend, Yoshino used her spirit's power, but during the battle, her rabbit puppet accidentally fell to the ground. While trying to retrieve the puppet, Yoshino's friend was accidentally killed by Yoshino's power. After this incident, Yoshino would often seek out humans to play various games with her, where the loser would die. The puppet, Yoshina, then reverted to her original personality due to the guilt she felt. Yoshino and Toka Yotagami also met by chance. Since they both hated humans, they would occasionally team up to play killing games together. After hearing this, Tokisaki Kurumi said angrily, it's those annoying AST guys again. Next time I meet them, I won't let any of them go. Suzuki gently rubbed Shion's hair and smiled, this kind of thing will never happen to you again. Of course the same goes for Shion. After all, I'm still pretty strong. Yotagami Toka looked at Suzuki and said, Xiaoqi, are you human? Why can't I beat you at all? Obviously, other humans are not my opponents. Suzuki smiled and said, I will explain this to you later. Do you two want to go back with us now? Tokisaki Kurumi said at this time, darling, we can't go back now. You haven't done the most important thing on a date, Miku. Don't say that I don't take care of you. This time, you will set an example for the two of them. Suzuki said unhappily, stop it. When did I promise to kiss them? However, before he finished speaking, he was blocked by Yui Miku. The next second, Suzuki widened her eyes in shock, and the divine spiritual outfit on Yui Miku was slowly disappearing. Takisuki Kurumi on the side watched this scene and cheered. Great, it's a success. Xiaoqi looked at Takisuki Kurumi and said, what do you mean by success? No, what's going on? Are you hiding something from me? Miku said shyly at this time. Darling, don't move, otherwise others will see it. Xiaoqi quickly took out a piece of her own clothes from the storage ring and threw it on Takisuki Kurumi's face and said anxiously, help Miku put on your clothes quickly, and you too, don't stand there stupidly, come and help. After a flurry of activity, Miku, who was dressed, said with a red face, darling, you have to be responsible for me, Miku, let's talk about this when we get back. Don't worry, I will give you an explanation for what happened today. Xiaoqi comforted Miku, then looked at Takisuki Kurumi and snorted, and said, if you don't give me a reasonable explanation after we go back, I will beat your ass. Just as they were on their way back to Takisuki Kurumi's house, the prompt for the original task appeared in the chat group for the first time. Tip, group member Takisuki Kurumi has met the requirements for unlocking an original mission. Group member Takisuki Kurumi can create a new plot for Data Live based on her own ideas. The greater the difference from the original, the more points she will earn. Tip, points for this mission will be calculated once daily at midnight. You can invite 2 group members to participate each day. Each participating group member can stay in the world for 23 hours. Chapter 140, the donkeys in the production team are not that hard-working. JPG Zhu Zhuqing, stop showing off your affection, you two. Hurry up and talk. Xiaoqi, after we conquered Yoshino, Kazita Yame, Miku, and Utagami Tauka, the system should have defaulted Sansan to the heroine of her world, so she triggered the original quest. Xiaoqi, I guess conquering Utagami Tauka is the most crucial of these, after all, she's the heroine of the original Data Live. Takisuki Kurumi, that's pretty much it. Darling said before that unlocking original quests is related to each of our identities. Since there's no Itsuka Shido in my world, then Utagami Tauka should be the key. Takisuki Kurumi, she was the original heroine, and I'm the main female supporting role. But now that I, the supporting role, have conquered the heroine, I naturally become the heroine. Linglong, then why did Xiaoqi become Itsuka Shido? Takisuki Kurumi, so stupid, because you conquered me, the heroine. Takisuki Kurumi, no matter how strange my world gets, the essence of Data Live won't change. Takisuki Kurumi, Darling is the first man in my world to kiss a Pokemon. We hadn't captured any Pokemon yet, and I hadn't become the heroine yet, but the seeds had already been planted. Takisuki Kurumi, after capturing Utagami Toka, I felt the time was right, so I asked Miku to try kissing Darling. Unexpectedly, it actually worked. Xiaoqi, putting everything else aside, your moves were truly impressive. Takisuki Kurumi, thank you Darling for the compliment. Sakata Gintoki, Hashiamade, didn't Miku's clothes just explode? Kicks you, why don't you guys start a live stream? Kurobakato, you're as good as me. Jin-san, you always seem to notice the most unique issues. Linglong, wait, so that means we can't kiss Xiaoqi outside anymore? Zhu Zhuqing, you're so stupid. We're not elves. Linglong, can you all stop calling me stupid? I'm just a little bit of a naivete. Aizen Sosuke, at Takisuki Kurumi, I bet there's going to be some surprises later. Takisuki Kurumi, at Sakata Gintoki, learn from the big guy's focus. Minato, let me guess too. Can Xiaoqi transfer his sealed powers to you through some method? Takisuki Kurumi, congratulations, Minato, you got it right. Linglong, what method? If you two kiss, won't your spirit powers also be sealed? Takisuki Kurumi, I can create a human with Darling. Linglong, do you really think I'm stupid? Xiaoqi, ignore her. I don't know why, but not only is Sansan unaffected by that rule, she can actually take some of Miku's power from me. Kurobakato, Sansan seems to be on her way to becoming a starter Pokemon, but why exactly? Azoum Sosuke, it might have something to do with her joining the chat group, but the sample size is so small, it's hard to make a correct guess right now. Linglong, it could also be because she's the heroine now. I'm so envious. Takisuki Kurumi, at Imejima Akino, Big Cow, wait until I gather all the Pokemon's power and see how I'll beat you up. Ha ha ha. Xiaoqi, who said I'd definitely help you? Himejima Akino, Alice, it looks like your good plan is going to fail. What a pity. Takisuki Kurumi, Darling. Let's talk about this in person later, Namikaze Minato. Anyway, Tokisaki Kurumi has opened up a new perspective for us non-protagonists this time. I have to carefully consider my next plan. Tsunade, Minato, what do you want? Namikaze Minato, what do you think, old woman? Go be your mascot. Tsunade, you, Tokisaki Kurumi, ha ha ha, well said. Tsunade, you're a big cow, you have no right to run wild here. Tsunade, Tokisaki Kurumi, what are you so arrogant about, little one? Azuma, you know, Tsunade is right, this little one is the most annoying. Tokisaki Kurumi, Namikaze Minato, when are you going to Konoha to carry rice? Namikaze Minato, anytime. Tsunade, just wash your neck and wait. Uzumaki Boruto, Grandpa, don't go too far. Uzumaki Minato, Grandpa knows what's going on, but your grandmother's temper might make it harder to deal with her. Tsunade, Minato, aren't you afraid that the future of many people will be affected by this? Wave Minato, stop using moral blackmail on me. As long as our family is safe, I don't care about other people. Haven't you all always been thinking about yourselves? Tsunade, Minato, let's meet and have a good talk. Namikaze Minato, no time, get lost. Kashiwazaki Sina, Sensen-sama, I want to come over to your place and play, is that possible? Uzumaki Boruto, Sensen-sama, I want to see the outside world. Tokisaki Kurumi, oh, except for psychos and mascots, everyone else is welcome here. Himejima Akino, oh, so I'm a part of it, too. Tokisaki Kurumi, humph. Sakata Gintoki, Sensen-sama, when will Jin-san's Mio mother arrive? Tokisaki Kurumi, damn it, you don't welcome me either. Xiaoqi, Nami, why are you so quiet today? Nami, busy fighting with Aokiji. Xiaoqi, oh, protect Wee. Let me know if you need anything. Nami, humph. Xiaoqi, you guys continue chatting. I have something to take care of first. After closing the chat group, Xiaoqi looked at the elf surrounding her and felt her headache. Darling, you've sealed my spirit power. From now on, you have to protect me 24 hours a day, so I'm going to sleep with you tonight, Yotagami Toka said. Xiaoqi, seal my power too. That way, I can go out and play without worrying about being discovered, Yoshino said. Me too. I don't want to let the past happen again, Fuude Yame said. You have a date with me tomorrow. Xiaoqi thought for a moment and said, once your power is sealed, it won't completely eliminate all your abilities, but it will be greatly weakened. Are you sure you still want to seal it? Tokisaki Kurumi smiled and said, darling, that's not a problem. I'll let my clone protect them, Xiaoqi said angrily. Shut up, Xiaoqi, you're so nagging. Kiss me, Yotagami Toka said and kissed Xiaoqi on the mouth. Before Xiaoqi could catch his breath, Yoshino came up again and blocked his mouth again. Tokisaki Kurumi looked at Xiaoqi, licked her lips and said, darling, it's my turn next. After getting some of the power of Yotagami Toka and Yoshino, Tokisaki Kurumi looked at Xiaoqi and smiled. Darling, you've worked hard today. As a reward for you, you can sleep with us tonight even if you want. Starting tomorrow, you will be responsible for finding Pokemon, catching Pokemon, and aiding them. Try to get the remaining Pokemon before the Big Cow's mission begins. After listening to Tokisaki Kurumi's arrangements, Xiaoqi stood up and roared. Even the donkeys in the production team don't dare to fight so hard. Tomorrow I will take Icarus back to my own world, and you can catch the rest by yourself. Tokisaki Kurumi smiled, looked at Yui Miku and said, Miku, do you remember what I said before? Yui Miku nodded and smiled. Remember, I will sleep with Darling tonight, and see if his mouth will still be so hard. Fuck. Xiaoqi grabbed Tokisaki Kurumi and pressed her face down on her legs, slapping her on the buttocks one after another. For a moment, the whole house was filled with a sound of pa-pa-pa and Tokisaki Kurumi's begging for mercy. Darling, Sanson was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. Darling, stop hitting her. She's going to break down if you keep hitting her. After hitting her 3,728 times in a row, Xiaoqi finally stopped. Let's see if you dare to be so naughty again in the future. Icarus, please guard the door of the room for me tonight. If anyone dares to come in, I will immediately start fighting. Okay, master. Yotagami Toka looked at Tokisaki Kurumi lying motionless on the sofa and swallowed her saliva. She said, Sanson is so miserable. Fuude Yame nodded and said, it's really miserable. Her buttocks are swollen. The puppet Shina said, Shina, you should be better in the future. China said, I know, China. Yuimika walked up and asked tentatively, Sansan, are we going to go on a night raid tonight? Tokisaki Kurumi said weakly, Miku, I think you can go and die. Don't worry about Icarus. I put a sack of watermelons at home, just to use at this time. Yuxio Migia nodded and said, okay, then I'll try it later. At worst, I'll do the same as you. Tokisaki Kurumi hummed, Mijiu, please carry me back to the room first. I'm a little numb right now. Chapter 141 Himejima Akino, who is prettier, Rias or me? The next morning, Suzuki asked Tokisaki Kurumi and Yui Miku to reflect on their actions at home, then went out on a date with the others. However, before his date with Fuade Yame had even begun, a message popped up in the chat group about the Himejima Akino storyline mission. Reminder, to trigger this storyline mission, group member Himejima Akino will enter the ranking game storyline. Group members can modify the storyline to their needs. The greater the modification, the more points they earn. This mission can be completed with 2 other group members, Himejima Akino. Oh, we're a little short. Sakata Gintoki, you're so cute. Jin-san knows you'll give one of the spots to Xiaoqi, but the other spot must be reserved for Jin-san. Jin-san hasn't even met you yet. Tokisaki Kurumi, you're overthinking it. This spot is mine. Xiaoqi, you're overthinking it too. You won't be going this time either. Tokisaki Kurumi, darling, you promised me last time, and I paid the price for it. Linglong, that's true. Zhu Zhuqing, and the price is not small. Xiaoqi, she is in solitary confinement today and cannot go anywhere. Linglong, at Tokisaki Kurumi, I am very curious about what you did. Tokisaki Kurumi, actually, it's nothing. I just made a small mistake. At most, you can put me in solitary confinement for 3 days when I come back this time. Himejima Akino, Sansan, can you come next time? Tokisaki Kurumi, what do you mean, big cow? Himejima Akino, I want Mr. Namikaze Minato to come and help me this time, so can I inconvenience you for a moment? Himejima Akino, after my mission is over, I will come to your place to apologize to you. Namikaze Minato, may I ask what you want me to do for you? Himejima Akino, I want you to help me reincarnate someone. Suzuki, it can't be him. Himejima Akino, you really can't hide anything from me. Suzuki, at Tokisaki Kurumi, be good. Don't go this time, sweetheart. Tokisaki Kurumi, if you don't want to go, then don't go. I don't care. Himejima Akino, thank you, Sam-san. I'll bring you a gift next time. Tokisaki Kurumi, humph. Namikaze Minato, at Himejima Akino, I'm not sure if impure world reincarnation can succeed in your world. Himejima Akino, even if it doesn't, it's okay. If possible, please come over as soon as possible. Sorry for the inconvenience. Suzuki, okay, then I'll arrange things here. Namikaze Minato, me too. Himejima Akino, thank you. Uzumaki Boruto, Grandpa, remember to start the live broadcast when the time comes. I want to watch you fight. Namikaze Minato, at Suzuki, will the scenes there be a bad influence on children? Uzumaki Boruto, Tokisaki Kurumi, ha ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. Suzuki, how about we wait and see when the time comes? Namikaze Minato, okay. Suzuki looked at Feng Daiyou and said apologetically, Yau, I have something urgent here. Can our date continue next time? Feng Daiyou smiled and said, it's okay, but next time you have to accompany me alone for a day. Suzuki smiled and said, okay, Toka, Shikishino and Icarus, the 3 of you and you'll continue to play outside for a while. I'm leaving first. After Suzuki finished explaining the things here, she thought about it and decided to go back and tell Tokisaki Kurumi first. Tokisaki Kurumi, who was sulking at home, deliberately put on a stern face when she saw Suzuki coming back and said, big liar. Why don't you go find your big cow? Suzuki hugged the other party in her arms and smiled, I don't like big cows, I like Sam-san. Tokisaki Kurumi raised her head and looked at Suzuki and said, darling, say it again. I didn't hear it clearly just now. I said I like Sam-san, and I will like her even more if she can be better in the future. Yeah, Tokisaki Kurumi cheered happily, put her hands around Suzuki's neck and said, darling, Sam-san likes you too, but this confession doesn't count. Suzuki said with a smile, what tricks are you trying to come up with? Tokisaki Kurumi smiled and said, Zhu Zhuqing, Wei Wei and Linglong all confessed to you on their own initiative. As their good sister, I can't break the rules, and I will do more to stand out than them at that time. So, When that time comes, the two of us will make it official. Okay, I'll listen to you. Are you feeling better now? It would be better if darling could rub my butt for me. It hurts so much. Come on, don't you know how much effort I used yesterday? Then give me a kiss. Suzuki kissed Tokisaki Kirumi on the mouth. Are you satisfied? Tokisaki Kirumi smiled happily and said, that's all for today, darling. Remember to come back early and don't get too close to the big cow. Don't worry, I'm just going over there to fight and earn some points. I'll be leaving first. Just as Suzuki was about to leave, Yuzio Miju walked up to him and pouted, darling, how could you forget me? I want a kiss too. Suzuki stepped forward and hugged Yuzio Miju in her arms. No kisses, but hugs are fine. Okay, I'll be leaving first. You two remember to be good. Tokisaki Kirumi and Yuzio Miju smiled sweetly at Suzuki. Okay, darling, Miju, get ready. I'll call my two good sisters over to introduce them to you. Getting them is half the battle. Yuimiku nuzzled her face. Sansan, you're so kind. That beating I got last night wasn't in vain. Could you please stop rubbing my face? I'm starting to wonder if you're bisexual, or if you were just so arrogant back then and it was fun to bully you. We're good sisters after all, in the world of high school, the Occult Research Club. Welcome, Administrator, to our world, Akino. Nice to see you again. Suzuki nodded to Himejima Akino, then looked at Rias, Taha Sharon, Kibayudo, and Asia standing on either side of her and said, hello, I'm Suzuki. Rias Gremory stepped forward, extending her hand. Hello, I'm Rias Gremory. Thank you so much for your help this time. Suzuki extended her hand, looked at her and smiled. You're welcome. Akino is a member of our chat group. It's only natural to help each other. Rias nodded. Let me introduce you to my club members, though you probably already know them. Following Ria's introduction, Suzuki briefly exchanged hellos with the other people present. Akino, when will Minato arrive? Just as Suzuki finished her words, Minato Namikaze appeared before everyone. After another round of brief greetings, Rias looked at Minato Namikaze and said, I've prepared all the necessary conditions for impure world reincarnation. However, before Rias could finish her words, a red teleportation array appeared on the ground not far from her. A blazing flame ignited on the teleportation array, and Turkey Man Phoenix came out to show off. Suzuki ignored the Turkey Man who was talking nonsense and turned to look at Akino Himejima. Akino, why isn't Rias's housekeeper Grafia here? Akino Himejima turned to look at Suzuki and said, does the administrator like her? I can ask Rias to introduce her to you. Suzuki rolled her eyes and said, don't you think it would be interesting to introduce her to our Jin-san? And her hair is exactly the style that Jin-san likes. Himejima Akino smiled awkwardly, then looked at Suzuki and joked, after seeing Rias in person, who do you think is prettier between her and me? Suzuki pinched her chin and thought for a while, then smiled, you are prettier. After all, she and I are not familiar with each other, so I will definitely favor my own people. Himejima Akino smiled and said, the administrator is really good at talking. This answer makes me very happy. The unscrupulous chat between the two attracted the attention of Phoenix. Rias, it seems that your servant is a little ignorant. Do you need me to help you train him? Rias said coldly, you don't need to care about my business. If you want me to marry you, let's use the ranking game to decide the winner. If I lose, I will marry you immediately, but if I win, please don't harass me again in the future. Phoenix sneered disdainfully and continued his pretentious mode. Zuno, this Turkey Man is so damn pretentious. Do you think if I go and kill him now, will this mission be over directly? Himejima's Zuno was stunned for a moment, then covered her mouth and laughed. Allah, why don't you try it? Phoenix pointed at Suzuki and said angrily, hey, you low-level demon, don't be so arrogant here, your master doesn't dare to be so presumptuous to me. Nia, go and teach this ignorant low-level demon a lesson. Suzuki smiled, looked at Boffin Minato and said, Minato, how many do you want? Boffin Minato smiled, if possible, please give them all to me. After all, my points are still negative now. Suzuki couldn't help laughing and said, Minato, you have learned bad things now. Phoenix roared, Nia, why are you still standing there? Go kill them. Just as Nia was about to take a step forward, a bolt of lightning fell in front of her. Allah, if you dare to take another step forward, I will let it strike you directly next time. Rias looked at Phoenix and said coldly, if you want to make trouble here, Then don't blame me for being rude. As soon as she finished speaking, Xiaoqi directly fired an energy bomb to blow the little girl named Nia into ashes. Turkey, now I give you two choices, either Minato and I will play 2 against 15, or you will play that ranking game with Rias. Himejima Akino smiled and said, no, it should be 3 against 15. Thank you book friends who like novels for the reward. Thank you book friend 2024113012340617 for the reward. I forgot to send it on time today, sorry. Chapter 142 Uzumaki Boruto, I'm only 12 years old, can you please stop doing this? Just as Xiaoqi's 3 men and Phoenix's 15 men were on the brink of a fight, a teleportation array suddenly appeared on the ground, drawing their attention. Grafia, Rias exclaimed, observing the newcomer. Grafia looked at the two before her and said calmly, my lady, Razor-sama, I've come here under the orders of Sir Zechi's-sama. Xiaoqi turned to look at Himejima Akino and asked curiously, why does Rias look as if she didn't know she was coming? Didn't you tell her about the plot? Himejima Akino smiled and said, oh, I think I forgot to tell Rias about this plot, what a woman with a bad taste, Xiaoqi muttered, turning her head. Grafia's appearance put an end to the fighting between the two sides. After exchanging some harsh words, Rias and Phoenix agreed to hold a ranking game in 3 days. Before stepping into the teleportation array and departing, Phoenix sneered at Xiaoqi. Lowly servant, cherish your last 3 days. After 3 days, I'll burn you to ashes. Ha ha ha. However, just as a flame ignited the teleportation array and faded, Phoenix, still immersed in his laughter, suddenly felt a sharp pain in his abdomen. Xiaoqi, who had suddenly appeared, immediately struck the blonde lolly standing beside him with another punch, knocking her unconscious. Silly bird, I'll leave your sister with me for the time being. If you want her, come back with your head in 3 days, ahem. Phoenix covered his abdomen and spat out a mouthful of blood. He looked at Xiaoqi fiercely and said, we'll see. Grafia looked at Xiaoqi deeply, then turned to look at Rias and said, Miss, I'll go back first. See you in 3 days. At this time, Himejima Akino walked to Xiaoqi and looked at the unconscious blonde lolly on the ground and said, oh, isn't this Rabble Phoenix? The administrator has a really good eye. Namikaze Minato looked at Xiaoqi and smiled and said, Xiaoqi, I'm afraid it's not appropriate for you to find someone when you come here. Minato, don't say that nonsense. Xiaoqi defended herself, looked at Namikaze Minato and said with a sly grin, this turkey girl is the wife I found for my eldest nephew Boruto. Although she is a few years older than my eldest nephew, look at her curvy figure and her pretty face. More importantly, her hair color is perfect for my eldest nephew. Don't worry, I have used the permissions to set this anime of Akino so that only specific group members can watch it, and there are no scenes that reveal too much, so it is guaranteed to be original. Namikaze Minato was stunned by what Xiaoqi said, and said stupidly, then I will go ask my eldest grandson. Hurry up, Xiaoqi urged, extending 2 fingers to condense the energy into a rope-like shape and wrapping it around Ravel's hands and feet, and then said, by the way, when you ask, remember to start a live broadcast so that my eldest nephew can see what the child bride I found for him looks like. Namikaze Minato smiled and said, okay. Himejima Akino took advantage of this free time and whispered, administrator, you just said that you set up this anime about me, so can you still watch it yourself? Of course, Xiaoqi said, then suddenly felt something was wrong and quickly added, don't get me wrong, I haven't seen it myself. Himejima Akino smiled and didn't continue the topic. Not long after, Namikaze Minato looked at Xiaoqi with a bitter face and said, my eldest grandson said he's still young, so we're not considering this aspect for the time being. Xiaoqi said angrily, Minato, as a grandfather, can you please let me talk to my eldest nephew? Xiaoqi, at Uzumaki Boruto, nephew, what's wrong with you? Uzumaki Boruto, administrator brother, I'm only 12 years old. Xiaoqi, what's wrong with 12? Your sister Zhu Zhuqing has been with me since she was less than 12, and she'll be a mother in 2 years. Zhu Zhuqing, Uzumaki Boruto, bro, that woman is older than me. Xiaoqi, what's wrong with being older than you? Your sister Linglong is a year older than me, not to mention your sister Sansan. If she hadn't become a spirit, she would probably be almost 30 years younger now. Takisaki Kirumi, Uzumaki Boruto, brother, I will find her myself later. Xiaoqi, find her yourself? You still haven't found her by the end of Boruto, and you only have some ambiguous relationships with Uchiha Sarada and Amaranth. Xiaoqi, if you don't hurry up and find her now, you'll find that you can't find her when you want to. Are you going to be like that old woman Tsunade and be single for the rest of her life? You can ask her if she feels lonely when the night is quiet. Tsunade. Namikaze Minato, my grandson, I think what your brother Xiaoqi said makes a lot of sense. Xiaoqi, okay, it's decided then. The next time your sister Akino triggers a quest, you come over and go on a blind date with her. Uzumaki Boruto, Kashiwazaki Sina, admin brother, I want to ask if that girl has agreed yet. Xiaoqi, she doesn't need to agree. It's her blessing to marry Boruto. Kashiwazaki Sina, Nami, at Xiaoqi, why did you think of finding a wife for Boruto today? Xiaoqi, what are you talking about? Minato and I are good friends. His grandson is my grandson. Nami, you're really good. Sakata Gintoki, what about Minato's wife? Xiaoqi, that must be my sister-in-law too. Sakata Gintoki, tisk. Xiaoqi, okay, I won't talk to you guys anymore at Uzumaki Boruto. Did you hear what I just said? Uzumaki Boruto, got it. Xiaoqi, sweetheart, you have to thank Akino's sister this time. It's all thanks to her for reminding me. Himejima Akino, Uzumaki Boruto, thank you so much. Xiaoqi looked at Rias and said, my eldest nephew said that he is very satisfied with the wife I found for him. When the time comes, please tell the Turkey family that their daughter is planning to get married. Rias looked at Himejima Akino, whose mouth was twitching, and asked puzzledly, Akino, what's wrong with you? No, it's okay. My eldest nephew really likes Ravel, huh? Xiaoqi looked at Himejima Akino and said, Akino, what are you talking about? Himejima Akino was stunned for a moment, then smiled awkwardly after coming to his senses. I mean, we should hurry up and do our business. It's getting late. Rias asked Kiba Yuto to look after Ravel here, and then took the others to a secret room. Rias pointed to a coffin in front and said, Mr. Namikaze Minato, this is his body. The person lying next to him is still alive, but we used some means to make him unconscious. I'll trouble you from now on. Namikaze Minato nodded and said, I'll try. Xiaoqi said at this time, Minato, I'll wait for you outside. Remember to turn off the live broadcast later. The following scenes are not suitable for women and children to watch. Namikaze Minato nodded. Turned off the live broadcast, looked at the others and said, I may make some slight changes to the body next. If you can't accept it, you can go and wait outside. Himejima Akino said, Rias, then I'll go and wait outside. Rias looked at Asia and Taha Bayan and said, you two go outside too, I'll stay here. Taha Bayan nodded and said, then Akino and I will wait outside together. Asia shook her head and said, I want to stay here. Whether I succeed or not, I will see it to the end. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143, Impure World Reincarnation Version of Hayao Issei. Xiaoqi looked at Himejima Akino and Taha Bayan, who walked out of the secret room and said, Akino, why did you two come out too? Himejima Akino smiled and said, Allah, I'm a little scared of things like corpses. If I look at them for too long, I won't be able to sleep at night. I need someone to hold me. I don't believe you. Xiaoqi rolled her eyes at her, and her expression suddenly became serious. Although I don't know the probability of success, don't you want to see the result with your own eyes? Himejima Akino put away her smile at this time, looked at Xiaoqi and said, Administrator, have you forgotten what I said to you on the Mary before? The one among us who is most obsessed with Hayao Issei is Asia, and Rias may have some as well. Taha Bayan said at this time, ever since Hayao Issei died, Asia has been like a lost soul every day. We can't bear to see her continue like this, so we privately asked Akino to ask her to think of a solution. Taha Bayan suddenly bowed to Xiaoqi when she said this, I also have something to ask of you. Akino said you are very strong, and I would like to ask you to train me. Huh? Xiaoqi was a little confused. He didn't expect Tachan Bayan to make such a request, but he quickly realized what was wrong. Looking at Tachan Bayan, he said, wait a minute. If you want to become stronger, there's no need to go through so much trouble. All Akino needs is a few skill cards. Tachanbei shook her head. Akino does have skill cards, but she has other uses for them. Himejima Akino said, if Minato succeeds this time, I will sell all my skill cards for points. I want to draw items for resurrection. If I can draw the Rinnegan, that would be even better. Suzuki was surprised and said, you want to fully revive Hayao Issei? Himejima Akino nodded. This is my duty as the deputy director. If I were an administrator, I certainly wouldn't want to see the people I care about without a smile on their faces every day. Suzuki sighed and said, even if you have the Rinnegan, you can't use that technique. Not only does it require a large amount of chakra, but the caster himself will also die. Administrator, are you worried about me? Himejima Akino smiled at Suzuki, then walked over to her and looked her in the eye. I wouldn't be so foolish as to use this technique on my own. As long as I have the Rinnegan, there's plenty of room for maneuver. And you'll definitely come up with the best solution for me, right? Suzuki hesitated to meet her gaze and turned away, saying, if you truly unleash your Rinnegan, everyone will help you find a solution. As they spoke, Namikaze Minato emerged from the secret room, followed by Rias, Asia, and the reincarnated Hayao Issei. Suzuki stepped forward and briefly greeted Hayao Issei. He didn't have any ill feelings towards this Makoto-kun, but he didn't have a favorable impression of him either. After exchanging a few words with Hayao Issei, Himejima Akino walked up to Namikaze Minato and said, Mr. Minato, thank you very much for this time. My points are still negative. Can I give you 20,000 points as your reward after this mission is over? If you think it's not enough, you can name your price. Namikaze Minato smiled and said, it doesn't need to be so much. After all, this impure world reincarnation can't be said to be completely successful. I don't know if it's because of this world. But if his body is damaged now, it can't be restored, and he doesn't have the immortality effect of impure world reincarnation. Also, although there is no limit to the number of impure world reincarnations, I'm not sure if I can bring him out of the world again, so you will need to pay attention to this aspect next time. Himejima Akino smiled and said, even so, it doesn't change the fact that you helped me, so please name your price. This, Namikaze Minato hesitated for a moment, then looked at Suzuki and said, then let our administrator set the price. Himejima Akino nodded and said, okay, I trust the administrator. You are throwing the difficult problem to me. Suzuki smiled bitterly, thought for a while, looked at the two of them and said, Minato, how about letting Akino persuade that woman to be Boruto's wife, and also let you kill a few more in this ranking game as a reward? Is that okay? Namikaze Minato smiled and said, if that's the case, I'll still make money. Himejima Akino also nodded, then winked at Suzuki mischievously. At this time, Tachanbei looked at Suzuki and said again, you haven't answered my request just now. Suzuki said, although you also focus on physical skills, I'm not sure if my method will work on you. How about this? Let me see your current ability first. Okay, Tachanbei nodded, then let's go to the back mountain of the school. There is a large area there. On the way to the back mountain of the school, Himejima Akino deliberately walked to Suzuki and whispered, thank you for just now. Suzuki asked in confusion, thank me for what? Himejima Akino smiled, her eyes looking at Asia who was holding Hayao Issei tightly in front of her, and sighed. Asia finally smiled. Suzuki asked curiously, why do I feel that Rias is not as happy as I imagined? Why don't you go ask her yourself? I don't know her well, I'm just a little curious. Has Sanson been thinking about me these 2 days? Yes. Has Sanson said bad things about me these 2 days? Yes. Did you miss me? Yes. No. Himejima Akino smiled and said, no need to explain. Later, please ask the administrator to accompany me to persuade that turkey girl. Suzuki rolled her eyes and whispered, childish. On the back hill, Suzuki looked across at Tachanbei and said, attack me with all your might. Let me see what you're capable of. Tachanbei nodded, raising his fist and smashing down on Suzuki. A second later, feeling no pain, Suzuki lowered her head and looked at Tachanbei. Well, you don't have to go easy on me, Tachanbei said calmly, I'm using all my might. Suzuki wanted to ask if this ticklish punch was what he called supernatural strength. Ha. Himejima Akino, watching from the sidelines, couldn't help but laugh at Suzuki's bewildered expression. Beside her, Rias couldn't help but ask, Akino, if you use your full strength, How much strength can you let him use? Himejima Akino thought for a moment and said, if the administrator feels sorry for me, he can knock me out with one move, Riaz said unhappily. What if he doesn't feel sorry for you? Himejima Akino smiled. It's still one move, Riaz said angrily. Is there any difference? Himejima Akino said with a smile. Of course there is. One is like fainting from the pain like when you hit Turkey Girl, and the other is fainting without any feeling. Tell me. Is there a big difference? Riaz said speechlessly. You're hopeless. Himejima Akino looked at Suzuki who was lecturing Tachanbei in front of her, and said slowly, Riaz, you are my best sister and best friend. If it can make you happy, I will do it no matter how much it costs, but what are you thinking now? A lot of things have changed. We can choose the old path, but we can also choose a new path. You should think about it seriously. On the other side, Suzuki asked Tachanbei to experience the gravity room with him tomorrow, then looked at Namikaze Minato and said, Minato, this is a rare opportunity. Do you want to try it out? Namikaze Minato smiled and said, although I know I'm no match for you, I also want to see how powerful a Saiyan is. Chapter 144 Kamehameha Blasts Meteorites. Namikaze Minato looked across at Suzuki and said, Xiaoqi, even though this is just for fun, I'd like to see your Super Saiyan form. Is that okay? Of course, I'll use all my current strength. As soon as he finished speaking, Namikaze Minato immediately entered Ninetales form, his eyes transforming into Samsara eyes. Suzuki smiled, clenched her fists tightly, stretched her arms out into a stance, and then with a loud shout, transformed into Super Saiyan form. Riaz looked at Suzuki, whose whole body was emitting golden aura and whose hair, eyebrows and eyes had changed color, and opened her mouth and said, Azuno, is this the Super Saiyan you talk about every day? Himejima Akino smiled and said, isn't he handsome? He transformed because I was injured at that time. Come on. Riaz rolled her eyes at her and muttered, it's just so. Azuno, please ask everyone to step back a little, or you and Riaz can carry the others and fly into the air. Okay, Himejima Akino responded, and after taking the others far enough away, she shouted, it's okay. Suzuki looked at Minato Namikaze opposite and smiled. Let's start. Minato Namikaze took out a kunai and smiled, then please go easy on me later. After the battle between Suzuki and Minato Namikaze began, Himejima Akino and Riaz who were watching from a distance could no longer see the two of them. Issei Hayao turned and asked, Akino, can you see what they're doing? I could only see a little bit, Himejima said, looking at her. Ichijo-san, from now on, you'll have to call me Vice Minister. Issei Hayao nodded dully. I understand, Vice Minister, Himejima continued. I'll return your Sakuragi to you after you've fully resurrected. It's not for me, Toshiro Sharon muttered to himself. I've decided. I'll make him my master. Akino, Kitty, you too. Riaz looked at them with a complicated expression. Himejima, in particular, had changed so much since her last trip to the other world that she almost didn't recognize her. Meanwhile, Minato Namikaze had witnessed firsthand the power of a Super Saiyan, more accurately, the disparity between the power and stamina of the Hokage and the Dragon Ball universe. In terms of speed, even he, known as the fastest man in the ninja world, was far inferior to Suzuki. In terms of power, no matter what type of Rasengan he unleashed, Suzuki crushed it with a single hand. As for the power of the Rinnegan, it was useless against Suzuki. More importantly, Suzuki hadn't actively attacked him since the start of their fight. After Minato Namikaze and Suzuki distanced themselves, he looked at each other with a wry smile and said, Xiaoqi, I'm afraid this fight won't work. Suzuki smiled and said, you can try Susanoo again. Minato Namikaze shook his head. Forget it. It might work against others, but it's just a moving target in front of you. Suzuki thought for a moment and said, how about you summon a meteorite? I haven't had the chance to use Kamehameha since I became a Super Saiyan. Minato Namikaze smiled and said, okay, I'd love to see your Kamehameha. As Minato Namikaze used the Rinnegan's gravity to combine with Susanoo to form 3 different seals, a massive meteorite, obscuring the sky, fell from the sky. Riaz, Hayao Issei, Toshiro Sharon, and Asia, witnessing the scene for the first time, wore expressions of horror. Ria's voice trembled as she asked, Akino, it can handle this thing, right? If it falls, we'll all be dead. Himejima Akino smiled at Suzuki, who soared into the air and struck a Kamehameha stance. Of course, even if there were more, let alone just one. It wouldn't be a problem. This is a rare opportunity. I want to see it up close. Himejima Akino spread her wings and flew towards Suzuki. Ah, you seem to be having fun. Suzuki smiled. Yes, it's a rare opportunity. I almost don't want to blow it up. Himejima Akino smiled. Then I'll play with you. As Suzuki stared at her in confusion, Himejima Akino, while striking a Kamehameha stance, muttered, "The manager is an idiot." Ha! With that a bolt of lightning shot out from her hand. Himejima Akino smiled and said, "How's that?" Himejima Akino's Kamehameha is pretty good, right? Suzuki scowled. 0 points for damage, 100 points for insult. You've done that to me and I've lost all desire to play. Suzuki then boosted her ki to its maximum, increasing the power of her Kamehameha wave before blasting the meteorite overhead into dust. Hayao, looking at Suzuki in the air, said, "To blow up a meteorite this size so easily is incredible." Taha Bain smiled and said, "Of course my master is amazing." Asia said, "With him around, there's no need to worry about the ranking games. We're sure to win this time." Riaz stared at Suzuki above, silent, her thoughts etched in her mind. After Suzuki landed on the ground, she walked up to Minato Namikaze and said with a smile, "Minato, summon a few more. This thing is just right for me to practice with." Hey, Minato Namikaze smiled awkwardly. "This thing consumes a lot of chakra." Okay, Himejima Akino smiled and said, "Allah, can't we talk about training later? You guys made such a big noise, someone will probably come soon." Before Suzuki and the other two walked to Riaz's side, Tachin Bain took the initiative to greet them, looked at Suzuki and said, "Master, when do we start training tomorrow?" Suzuki asked with a puzzled look. "When did I become your master?" Tachin Bain said, "Just now." Suzuki said with a smile, "Are you sure you want to practice with me?" "It's very hard." Tachin Bain nodded and said, "Sure, then I'll find you tomorrow morning. If you can hold on for a day, I'll accept you as my apprentice." "I will definitely hold on, master," Himejima Akino said at this time. "Allah, then I'll practice with you tomorrow too," Suzuki said unhappily. "As a wizard, what are you doing?" "What you should do now is to be a matchmaker for my eldest nephew," Himejima Akino sighed and said, "Even little brother Boruto has a wife. When will someone want a 17-year-old ant like me?" If Tsunade heard this, I guess she would faint from anger. Namikaze Minato smiled and said, "I'll try to say that to her next time." When everyone returned to Kao Academy and had not yet entered the Mystic Research Department, they heard Turkey Girl Ravel swearing at Kibayuto inside. Suzuki said, "Azune, if she doesn't behave later, just give her a few beatings and she'll behave. Her immortality ability will allow her to recover immediately." Himejima Akino smiled and said, "Alice, I'm not that rough. I'll use more peaceful methods to persuade the other party." Suzuki curled her lips and said, "Don't I know your sadistic personality?" Himejima Akino narrowed her eyes and smiled. "Administrator, I think before we beat up that Turkey girl, we two need to have a good talk." Thanks to book friend Lou Gixon for the monthly ticket. Thanks to book friend Alex Sia for the monthly ticket. Thanks to book friend Don Slingda for the monthly ticket and reward. Thanks to book friend Shen Ui for the monthly ticket. Chapter 145, The Dirty King Lu Linglong. Hello, my name is Ravel Phoenix. If that boy named Uzumaki Boruto likes me, I'd like to date him. Namikaze Minato twitched his lips as he watched Ravel standing before him, tears still streaking her face and her body trembling slightly. Everyone outside could clearly hear the three transformations of Ravel being taken to the next room by Himejima Akino, her initial tirade, her subsequent screams, and her final desperate pleas for mercy. Standing beside Ravel, Himejima Akino, her fingertips gleaming with lightning, turned and smiled at her, saying, "Ravel, you should call him Grandpa. And it's not about dating, it's about marrying little brother Boruto." Ravel instinctively leaned towards Namikaze Minato, looking at him and quickly saying, "Grandpa, I'm willing to marry Uzumaki Boruto. Please ask her to let me go." Ravel could no longer contain herself and sat on the ground, sobbing uncontrollably. Her expression was heartbreaking. Himejima Akino looked at Namikaze Minato and said, "Mr. Minato, I'll be handing your granddaughter-in-law over to you now." Ravel was a little naughty before, but she'll be very well behaved. As for her family, you don't have to worry about it. Namikaze Minato smiled awkwardly. "Thank you very much, that's what I should do." Himejima Akino smiled, then walked over to Suzuki and said, "Administrator, I did a good job on my job, Didn't I? Xiaoqi glanced at Ravel, who was still sobbing softly, and asked tentatively, how did you convince her? No, how did you convince her? Himejima Akino smiled and said, I just told her a few things about Boruto's little brother, and Ravel fell in love with him. It's that simple. Hey, everyone laughed at Himejima Akino's blatant lie. Namikaze Minato then told Ravel some information about Uzumaki Boruto and said that if Ravel wasn't satisfied with his eldest grandson when they met, he wouldn't force her. Ravel said gratefully, thank you. I can also promise you that if your grandson is someone I approve of, I will agree to this marriage. Xiaoqi untied the restraints on her hands and feet and said, you won't say that once you see Minato's strength. Your future husband is even stronger than him. Also, since you're my niece-in-law, I'll spare that turkey this time, but he'll definitely get a beating. Ravel nodded obediently, said goodbye to everyone, and left. Then, Namikaze Minato declined Ria's invitation to stay for dinner, said goodbye to everyone, and returned to his own world. He had to go to Sakuragi's place tomorrow to play a game and earn some points. He would return when the ranked game started in 3 days. Xiaoqi looked at the group and said, everyone, I have something to do at home, so I'll be back to train with Tahashiron tomorrow morning. Himejima Akino watched Takesaki Kurumi, who was frantically sending messages in the chat group to urge Xiaoqi to come home for dinner, her chest heaving with anger. Damn San-san, she's so wary of me, let's wait and see. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. Himejima Akino pulled Riaz aside and whispered, Riaz, I'll give you another day to think about it. If you choose Hayao Issei, then I'll go find other comrades to help. On the other side, Xiaoqi, who had returned to the dating world, looked at Takesaki Kurumi in front of her and said unhappily, hurry, now you can rest assured. Takesaki Kurumi smiled and said, darling, if you go to other people's worlds, I won't care about you, but not the big cow. Who knows if she will do something to you at night while you're asleep, and Zhu Zhuqing and Linglong are here now. Isn't it better to have the three of us accompany you than that big cow? Linglong nodded and said, Sam-san is right. You and her are just playing 21, but the three of us can play happy 3-on-1 with you. Who do you think is happier? Xiaoqi looked at the two of them with a frown on their faces and said, can you two not be so dirty in your thinking, especially Linglong? From now on, you should just call yourself the Filthy King. You just say dirty words all the time. You two should learn more from Zhu Zhuqing in the future. She is never like you. Zhu Zhuqing smiled and said, I'm on Sansan's side this time. Although we are not as hostile to Himejima Akino as before, it does not mean that we can accept her. Takesaki Kurumi said, did you hear that? You can't even take her home. Xiaoqi said speechlessly, please, I never said anything like I like her. Linglong snorted coldly, okay, you still dare to quibble. If Sansan hadn't urged you today, would you have planned to spend the night at her place? Zhu Zhuqing nodded and said, what's wrong with Sansan urging you? You actually dared to be mean to her as soon as you came back, eh? Xiaoqi opened her mouth, not knowing what to say. He finally understood the meaning of the timeless sayings, 3 women make a drama and don't reason with the women. Xiaoqi waited until the 3 women finished their chatter before looking at them and saying, can we go eat? I'm hungry. After dinner, Xiaoqi inquired about Zhu Zhuqing and Linglong's current situation. Both women simply smiled and said nothing, telling him to just wait for them to trigger the mission. My 3 wives, it's getting late, shall we go to bed? Takesaki Kurumi said disdainfully, darling, you smell like a big cow today, you should find Zhu Zhuqing or Linglong. Linglong smiled and said, I haven't slept with Sansan yet, so I'm going to hold her to sleep tonight. Xiaoqi looked at Zhu Zhuqing and smiled, I knew Zhu Zhuqing was the best to me. Zhu Zhuqing smiled and said, sorry, when you and Zhudeo Himino were being affectionate with each other, the 3 of us had already agreed to sleep together tonight. Xiaoqi looked at Takesaki Kurumi and said, didn't you say that you 3 would accompany me? Linglong said with a smile, husband, you said before that Sansan and I have dirty thoughts? So the accompany you said must be the serious kind, right? Takesaki Kurumi nodded and said, darling, the 3 of us have already accompanied you for dinner and chatted with you. Do you want to smell if we 3 smell good now? Xiaoqi looked at the 3 people in front of her and smiled, okay, there really are 3 of you, you are really good. Takesaki Kurumi raised her head and said proudly, you know how powerful the 3 of us are, so go home tomorrow on your own. Okay, I will go home on time tomorrow, but now, Xiaoqi said here, suddenly hugged Tokisaki Kirumi in her arms and said with a smirk, "Let me smell if you smell good first." Tokisaki Kirumi struggled and said, "Zhuqing, Linglong, save me." Lu Linglong smiled, "Samson, I'm sorry to inconvenience you for a while. Zhuqing and I will go back to the room first." Zhu Zhuqing smiled, "Remember to come back early. Linglong and I are waiting to hold you to sleep." Xiaoqi looked at Tokisaki Kirumi, who accepted his fate in her arms, and smiled, "Keep on being arrogant. I still like to see how lawless you were just now." Tokisaki Kirumi said with a bitter face, "Darling, I was wronged. Can you not spank me today?" "Samson, every time you admit your mistakes, the things you do are more rampant each time. I must teach you a memorable lesson today." "Zhuqing, Linglong, you two come back and save me." Chapter 146. It's confirmed, the clothes in the world of Devil High School are all made of paper. In the world of high school, Himejima Akino summoned Xiaoqi early in the morning, claiming that Tachanbayan needs to start training. Xiaoqi looked at Himejima Akino, who was leisurely enjoying her breakfast, and said unhappily, "So this is what you meant by training?" Himejima Akino paused, looking at Xiaoqi and asking, am I interrupting the administrator's good time?" Tachanbayan then tugged at Xiaoqi and said, "Master, the deputy director got up early to make these. She said you neglected me by not staying for dinner yesterday." Himejima Akino said, "Never mind, kitten. I guess she wouldn't appreciate my cooking." Xiaoqi sat down, picked up a pastry, tasted it, and looked at Himejima Akino. "It's delicious, thank you." Himejima Akino smiled and said, "Then I'll ask the administrator to finish all the rest." And so, under Tachanbayan's astonished gaze, Xiaoqi devoured the large table full of food. "Master, Akino has always told us that you are a big eater. Today I finally got to see it." Xiaoqi smiled and said, "That's just the beginning. When I'm hungry, I can eat more than I do now." Tachanbayan nodded and said, "Master, what shall we practice today?" "I'll take you to the gravity room to practice later. I told you yesterday that if you don't meet my requirements, I won't recognize you as my disciple." Tachanbayan said with a firm look in his eyes, "I will definitely persevere." Himejima Akino said at this time, "Allah, then Kaneko and I will go get some luggage and leave. Riaz and the others will be here later." After a moment, Xiaoqi looked at the oversized luggage on Tachanbayan's back and asked in confusion, "Are you planning to live outside?" Himejima Akino handed his luggage to Xiaoqi and said, "Remember the place where we practiced before the ranking game and the original work? We will live there for the next 2 days." Xiaoqi nodded, "I see. But why do I have to help you carry your luggage?" Himejima Akino smiled and said, "Isn't it my duty to take care of the ladies? Besides, you just ate so much breakfast that I made for you. By the way, there are a lot of my favorite underwear in here. Don't take them away and do anything bad, you are such a sinister devil." After the three of them arrived at a castle on the mountain, Riaz and the others arrived here not long after. Riaz looked at Xiaoqi and said, "We will be training here for the next 2 days. If possible, could you please stay here as well?" Tachanbayan said, "Master, I'm counting on you too." Xiaoqi was a little embarrassed. Before leaving in the morning, the three women had specifically reminded him to go home on time tonight. At this point, Himejima Akino said, "Hey, you two, please stop giving the administrator a hard time. He's the most notorious henpecked husband in our chat group." Xiaoqi said angrily, "Himejima Akino, I know you're just trying to provoke me, but I'm falling for it this time. Watch me." Himejima Akino smiled, and when he saw Xiaoqi's conversation with Tokisaki Kirumi in the chat group, his smile widened. 5 minutes later, Himejima Akino looked at the others and said, "Everyone, let me introduce you. This is Icarus, whom I mentioned before. She's here to take care of the administrator's daily life." Everyone tried hard to stifle laughter. They all knew what Himejima Akino meant by take care. It was clearly someone from his family who was worried about him and had sent someone to keep an eye on him. Riaz approached Icarus and said, "I hope you enjoy your time here, and I hope your work goes well." Ha ha ha, the others couldn't help but laugh. With Riaz's guidance, everyone chose their own rooms. Xiaoqi naturally shared a room with Icarus, Hyaoise and Kibayudo shared one, Taha Sharon shared one with Asia, and Riaz remained in a room with Himejima Akino. After everyone changed and arrived in the living room, Xiaoqi stared at Himejima Akino, who was wearing red sweatpants and a white short-sleeved top. Her clothes were perfectly normal, but her figure looked even more voluptuous in them. No wonder Takesaki Kirumi called her cow every day. Himejima Akino naturally noticed Suzuoki's gaze and walked over to her, whispering, "Administrator, you're drooling." Suzuoki instinctively wiped her mouth with her hand, but realizing she'd been tricked, she roared, "Himejima Akino, that's enough." As training began, Rias taught Asia how to control her magic, while Kibayudo practiced swordsmanship alone. Since Hayao Ise couldn't fight right now, he took care of the logistics. Suzuoki brought Tachanbei and Himejima Akino into the gravity room, while Icarus was outside observing Suzuoki's every move inside. Suzuoki had no way to deal with Himejima Akino, who insisted on forcing herself to join. Every time, she could find the most appropriate reason to make him speechless. After Suzuoki adjusted the gravity in the gravity room to twice, Himejima Akino and Tachanbei's foreheads were soon covered with fine beads of sweat. Tachanbei was relatively better because of his lighter weight and his own physical condition, but Himejima Akino, the fragile big cow mage, had some difficulties. Suzuoki tried to persuade her to give up, but Himejima Akino always stubbornly said that this gravity was nothing and that she would be able to adapt if she was given some time. Half an hour later, Suzuoki looked at the heavily gasping Akino Himejima and said, "Akino, give up. This kind of training isn't for you, Allah, don't underestimate me. I can attack you right now." Akino Himejima raised her hand, ready to unleash a bolt of lightning at Suzuoki. However, the lightning did fire, but instead of hitting Suzuoki, it blew up on her. Suzuoki was bewildered as he watched Akino Himejima's clothes explode before him. He suspected that clothes in this world were made of paper, but on closer inspection, that didn't make sense. The last time Akino Himejima was struck by a lightning bolt as powerful as Anel's in the One Piece world, her clothes didn't explode. How could she be blasted by such a small bolt now? Suzuoki had reason to suspect this might be a special rule unique to the world of high school, otherwise, there was no explanation. Himejima Akino looked at the stunned Suzuoki and said, "Idiot, how long are you going to watch? Come and help me." "Oh, okay." Suzuoki came back to his senses and quickly adjusted the gravity back to normal, then walked up to Himejima Akino and said, "Well, how can I help?" Himejima Akino said unhappily, "Ask Icarus to get me some clothes from the castle. You stay here and don't let another man see me like this." As soon as Himejima Akino's words fell, Tachanbei's voice suddenly sounded behind him, "Master, ask Icarus to get me one too." Suzuoki turned his head and saw that this guy's clothes had burst at some point. Suzuoki was about to cry now. "No, you can't release lightning. Why did your clothes explode?" Tachanbei said, "I was accidentally scratched by the equipment there just now, and that's what happened." "Are your clothes made of paper?" Suzuoki was completely numb. He was just leading the two of them in training seriously. Why did the style suddenly become so frivolous? And what's even more terrible is that when he turned his head to look at the window on the door of the gravity house, Icarus was writing something in a small notebook. Himejima Akino said, "Oh, it seems that the administrator is going to be in trouble this time." Suzuoki said angrily, "Himejima Akino, can you learn from Tachanbei and cover yourself with your hands first?" Himejima Akino asked back, "Then why don't you close your eyes?" Tachanbei said, "Master, can you please hurry up? It's very cold now." "Fuck you, I'm going to be driven crazy by you sooner or later." Chapter 147, There is no difference between watching it once and watching it countless times. In the gravity room, Suzuoki waited for Himejima Akino and Tachanbei to put on their clothes, then looked at them and said, "Why don't we stop practicing?" Tachanbei shook his head and said, "Master, how can you go back on your word?" Suzuoki sighed and said, "How about this? I accept you as my disciple, and I'll give you another skill card later." Tachanbei shook his head again, "Master, you can indeed make me stronger immediately, but if you do this, I may never be able to overcome my psychological barrier." Himejima Akino smiled and said, "Don't you often say in the group that there is only a first time and countless times for everything? You just saw me in Kitten, what difference does it make if you see us once more or once less?" Suzuoki looked at Himejima Akino and said unhappily, "Shut up right there. I'm not like Hayao Ise who has that special liking for you." Himejima Akino suddenly put away the smile on her face, looked at Tachanbei and said, "Kitten, attack me." Tashirobei nodded, and every time her fist brushed against Himejima Akino's clothes, Himejima Akino's clothes would shatter. "Kitty, that's enough." Himejima Akino stopped Toshiro Bain and looked at Suzuki and said, "This is what I discovered after returning from the pirate world. Even Anel's powerful attack didn't make my clothes explode, but Kitty's attack can easily tear my clothes apart. Do you know what this means? If I don't want to be exploded by others in the future, I only have three choices. Either my strength reaches the pinnacle of this world, so that no one can get close to me, or I will never fight in this world again and find a place to hide safely." Himejima Akino said this with a sad smile on her face. "As for the last one, it's about finding a reliable man, but who would dare marry a woman like me? I know that in your eyes, or rather, in your eyes, many women in our world are very lowly, often doing things that you consider shameful, but have you ever considered that, like exploding clothes, the reason we're like this is because of some influence from this world? Before I joined the chat group and watched that anime, I never felt that what I did was wrong. Believe it or not, you're the first man in this world to have seen my body. You and Kitty, practice well. I'm leaving." The desolate and sorrowful look in Himejima Akino's eyes before she turned away stung Suzuki, and he suddenly felt deeply ashamed. He had indeed never considered the issue from the perspective Himejima Akino mentioned. He admitted that deep down, his view of Himejima Akino was actually the same as Takesaki Kurumi. At this moment, Suzuki's hand was pulled by Tachin Bayan. "Master, since you know the people here, you should know the deputy minister better than me. The deputy minister has always praised you in front of us, saying that she is very happy getting along with others in the chat group, but once I accidentally saw her crying alone, and that was not long after she joined the chat group." At the moment when Himejima Akino's hand grasped the handle of the gravity house door, Suzuki held her other hand from behind. "Akino, can you stay and practice with us?" Himejima Akino took a deep breath, composed herself, then turned and asked, "Administrator, are you trying to get me to stay or are you feeling sorry for me?" Suzuki wiped the tears from her eyes and smiled, "Neither. I want to get to know the new Himejima Akino again. Could you please give me a chance?" Himejima Akino smiled faintly. "Ah, aren't you afraid that Sam-san will come and attack you with a knife?" Suzuki smiled and said, "I don't think so. After all, you and her are good friends, and you've even slept together." Himejima Akino smiled and said, "Since the administrator isn't afraid, then I have nothing to fear either. From now on, I'll trouble you to guide me in practice." After resuming practice, despite Himejima Akino and Tachin Bayan being extremely careful, the constant clothing explosion still had a significant impact on their practice. While Suzuki feasted her eyes, she also noticed something strange. Only the two of them were constantly exploding, while his own clothes seemed unaffected. "Azuno, Kitty, I'll be back soon." 20 minutes later, Suzuki returned and took out a pile of clothes for Himejima Akino and Tachin Bayan to choose one at random. "Now, you two try it on again." Himejima Akino tried a few times and said with surprise, "Ah, it seems that the quality of the clothes at the administrator's place is much better than mine." Tachin Bayan asked curiously, "Master, is there anything special about this dress?" Suzuki shook her head and smiled, "Kitty, this is just the most ordinary dress, but it doesn't belong to this world, so it is less affected by the special rules of your world." Himejima Akino leaned close to Suzuki's ear and whispered a string of numbers, then smiled, "Remember to get me some next time. 4 styles, choose the ones the administrator likes." "Big cow," Suzuki muttered softly. Himejima Akino winked at Suzuki and smiled, "I'm very sensitive to those 3 words, so remember not to say them in front of me next time." After a morning of practice, Suzuki had finally figured out that Tachin Bayan was truly practicing, while Himejima Akino was simply there to disrupt the practice. Before the afternoon practice began, Suzuki returned to her own world to get some clothes for the others. After a day of practice, Tachin Bayan had fully adapted to the double gravity. As for Himejima Akino, she didn't practice with them at all that afternoon, instead spending the entire afternoon chatting with Icarus outside. "Kitten, you performed very well today. Tomorrow, we'll have practical training. On the 3rd morning, we'll try triple gravity, and then spend the afternoon recovering." Tachin Bayan lay on the ground, saying weakly, "Okay, master." Suzuki lifted her from the ground and smiled, "You've worked hard. Get some rest first." "Thank you, master." Tachin Bayan smiled faintly before falling asleep. Inside the castle, Himejima Akino looked at Toshiro sleeping in Suzuki's arms and quipped, "Oh, the administrator is amazing. He tamed the kitten in just 1 day. Why don't you tame me and Riz too?" Suzuki handed Tahashiron to Himejima Akino and said, "Don't try to make fun of me. I'll leave the kitten to you. I'll go play with Icarus for a while." Himejima Akino looked at Suzuki's back and murmured, "I'm serious. Whatever Sansan and the others can do for you, I can do the same for you." After dinner with everyone, Suzuki returned to her room and started chatting in the group, reporting to the other girls about what had happened that day. Naturally, he had concealed the fact that he had seen Himejima Akino and Tahashiron. Otherwise, when he returned, the three of them might have attacked him with 40-meter-long swords. "Icarus, after this mission is over, we will go back to our own world and have fun for a few days, so just pretend you didn't see what happened today, okay, master, that's good. Let's go to bed." At night, Suzuki suddenly felt as if something heavy was pressing on his body while he was sleeping. When he opened his eyes, he saw the face of Himejima Akino, who was so close to him. Suzuki was numb. Under normal circumstances, this situation would never happen with Icarus around. She had stopped all the night attacks by Uemiku before. "Akino, how did you appear here?" Himejima Akino smiled and said, "I asked Icarus to sleep in my room tonight." Suzuki was completely shocked. "How did you do it?" "Oh, this is a secret. Now it's just you and me. Do you want to do something to me that you have ever fantasized about?" Chapter 148 Ranking Game begins. The next morning, when Suzuki and Himejima Akino emerged from the same room together, they instantly captured everyone's attention. Riaz, without a word, pulled Himejima Akino into her room and began to examine her. She found nothing unusual about her. Filled with confusion, she couldn't help but ask, "Akino, did you two have sex last night?" Himejima Akino smiled and said, The administrator and I didn't do what you think. As for the rest, I can't tell you." Then, a sudden change of tone, "Riaz, if possible, I'd like to be with you forever, but if I have to choose between you two, I'll choose the administrator without hesitation." "Okay, I'm going out to be with the administrator. After all, our time together is limited, and I need to make every possible effort to make him fall in love with me." Himejima Akino sighed as he left the room. She and Suzuki had discussed a lot last night, including the idea of him taking Riaz in. But Suzuki had refused without hesitation. He wouldn't accept a woman with other men in her heart. Elsewhere, after breakfast, Suzuki took Himejima Akino and Tachanbayan into the gravity room to begin training. Himejima Akino sat by, smiling, watching the two of them conduct their combat training. Taking advantage of their break, she approached like a newlywed wife, wiping Suzuki's sweat and giving him a shoulder massage. Seeing their intimate moment, Tachanbayan couldn't help but ask, "Master, Deputy Minister, are you two a couple now?" Himejima Akino smiled and said, "Kitten, your master hasn't fully accepted me yet, but he's been very honest about my body." Suzuki, standing by, said angrily, "Big cow, could you mind your words?" Himejima Akino smiled and whispered in his ear, "I'll come to see you the next 2 nights like I did last night." Over the next 2 days, Suzuki slowly let go of her previous prejudices against Himejima Akino and gained a new understanding of the Himejima Akino she was. Himejima Akino also began to openly express her affection for Suzuki, revealing a new side to her. So, when the ranking games began, Namikaze Minato, who had returned to the area, was stunned to see Himejima Akino sweetly holding Suzuki's arm. "Curious, what's going on between you two?" Himejima Akino smiled and said, "Mr. Minato, the administrator and I are just as you see, but could you please keep our relationship a secret for now?" Suzuki sighed and said, "Minato, I'm sorry to bother you. Akino needs some time." He had tried to dissuade Himejima Akino several times over the past 2 days, but she remained steadfast, even asking Suzuki to stick to her old ways in the group chat and not show her any special favors. Himejima Akino needed to work hard to gain the other women's acceptance and truly integrate into Suzuki's extended family. "I'm still very tight-lipped." Namikaze Minato nodded, smiled at the two, and said, "Congratulations, both of you." As the start of the ranking game approached, the president and vice president of the Kao Academy Student Council arrived at the Occult Research Department. They were the broadcasters for the ranking game. The upcoming game would be broadcast live to people with connections to both sides. Akashima Himino whispered, "Do you want these two bespectacled girls? I can find a way for you." Suzuki rolled her eyes and said, "I've told you countless times, I don't want anyone else in this world except you." As they spoke, Grafia arrived via the teleportation array. She was the referee for the ranking game. "Everyone, it's almost time. Please follow me." Once everyone had teleported to another dimension, Grafia began to announce the rules of the ranking game. Himejima Akino looked at the pensive Suzuki and asked curiously, I wonder what my administrator is thinking about right now." Suzuki looked at him and said, "Akino, what do you think would happen if I accidentally shattered this space?" Himejima Akino and the others were stunned. Although this was their first time participating in a ranked game, they had never heard of anyone being able to do something like this before. But if they thought about it carefully, Suzuki could really do it easily. Even something like a meteorite could be easily destroyed by him. Just as Riaz was about to speak, Suzuki looked at everyone and smiled. "Look how nervous you are. Don't worry, I will hold back a bit later." "Ha ha ha," Himejima Akino laughed. "Some people said before that I was sinister, but I think you are the most sinister one." At this time, Tachin Bayan walked up to Suzuki with a small glowing dot and said, "Master, this is a communicator." After Grafia announced the start of the game, Riaz looked at Suzuki and said, "You are the strongest among us. You will be in charge of the battle plan this time." Suzuki looked at everyone and smiled. "Minato, you can go and kill them later. Just remember to leave the turkey to me at the end." Namikaze Minato smiled and said, "Then I won't be polite." "Wait." Suzuki looked at Namikaze Minato, who disappeared in an instant, and shook his head with a wry smile. He didn't even have time to tell the other party about the exploding clothes. So men really can't move too fast. I hope Minato can hold on after seeing those scenes. Suzuki sighed in his heart, looked at the others and continued, "Kitty, you should be in a group with Kibayudo. Today is the time for you to show the results of your training. I will watch your performance later." Kibayudo nodded. Tachin Bayan looked at Suzuki and said, "Master, I won't let you down." After the two of them left, Suzuki took out a few bags of instant coffee and a deck of playing cards and looked at Hayao Issei, Asia and Riaz and smiled. "The three of you just stay here, drink coffee, play cards, and wait for the game to end." Suzuki naturally understood that Hayao Issei insisted on participating in this ranking game, as he wanted to be with Asia and Riaz. Bang! Riaz slammed the table, walked up to Suzuki and asked, "What did you mean by your last sentence? What do you mean by drinking coffee and playing cards?" "I didn't come here to play," Suzuki asked puzzledly. "Is there any problem? Aren't you three in a relationship? Issei Hayao is in this condition now. Do you still plan to let him go out and fight? What if he accidentally loses an arm or a leg? You and Asia will cry again." Himejima Akino covered her forehead helplessly. She had said to Suzuki several times in the past few days, asking him to take Riaz in, but the result was still the same. Riaz snorted coldly and said, "Just take good care of your Akino. You don't need to worry about my affairs." "This is inexplicable," Suzuki muttered, looked at Himejima Akino and said, "Are you going to stay here or go out and play with me?" Himejima Akino smiled and said, "I'll talk to Riaz for a few words and come to you later." Suzuki nodded, "Then I'll go and kill that stupid woman who eliminated you first." "Ah, what a reliable man." Himejima Akino smiled at Suzuki's leaving figure, then turned her head and said, "What do you think, Riaz?" Riaz snorted, "He's not a man. What does his reliability have to do with me? If you continue like this, my wish to be sisters with you for life will be dashed." Himejima Akino sighed, looked at Hayao Issei and said, "Ichiro-sen, what do you think? Please answer me truthfully." Chapter 149 Switch Princess Riaz. Just 5 minutes into the ranking game, Grafia's voice echoed through the space, announcing the sudden elimination of 5 Phoenix players. Suzuki, secretly following Toshiro Hakan and Kibayudo, smiled. As expected of the fastest man in the ninja world, I wonder if he's managed to get his opponent's clothes ripped off. Just then, 4 Phoenix followers suddenly appeared, surrounding Kibayudo and Toshiro Hakan. Toshiro Hakan glanced at the surrounding enemies and said, "Yudo, could you please let me take care of them alone? I want Master to see the results of my training." Kibayudo smiled and said, "Okay. I'll keep an eye on the situation for you and also check on your progress over the past few days, but you're calling Master more often now than you're calling Bu-chan." Toshiro Hakan blushed and whispered, "Master is the most important person to me right now." Suzuki, watching Toshiro Hakan effortlessly take on 4 opponents, nodded in satisfaction. She was far stronger now than she had been 3 days ago. More importantly, she was slowly overcoming her mental barriers and would soon awaken the power of the Nikamado within her. His only annoyance was that Tachanbayan was now extremely clingy, always enjoying sitting on his lap during meals. Just as Tachanbayan was about to finish off her 4 opponents, Suzuki noticed a figure suddenly appear above them. Great, they just showed up without me having to look for them. Suzuki hesitated, wanting to see if Tachanbayan and Kibayudo would notice each other. Elsewhere, just as Tachanbayan had knocked the other 4 to the ground and was about to move forward to eliminate them, Kibayudo shouted, "Watch out, Kitty, oh no, we've been spotted." Too late. You two will be eliminated together. However, just as she was about to swing her magic wand, Suzuki suddenly appeared in front of her and kicked her to the ground. As Suzuki landed on the ground, Tachanbayan stepped forward, head bowed, and said, "Master, I'm sorry, I was careless just now." Suzuki stroked her hair and smiled, "You performed very well just now. I'm very satisfied. Let me beat this woman up first to avenge Akino. If possible, I'd rather beat her up myself. I don't want my administrator to see a woman like this." Suzuki looked up and smiled, "I can beat her up with my eyes closed." Himejima Akino landed in front of him and smiled, "Then let's play rock paper scissors. I say, don't underestimate me, you guys." As soon as she finished speaking, a bolt of lightning struck her from the sky. You're disturbing us, but you should have something good on you." "I'll take it without hesitation," Himejima Akino said, squatting down and groping around her before finding a small bottle. "Then you can be eliminated now, Miss Bomb Princess." Suzuki's mouth twitched uncontrollably as she watched Himejima Akino unleash 5 consecutive bolts of lightning on the woman. With Suzuki eliminating the 4 people on the ground, only the last 2 remained on Phoenix's side. Namake's Minato had just eliminated 3 more people. Suzuki looked at the others and smiled awkwardly. "Yudo, I'm sorry. I made you play alone this time. I didn't expect Minato to be so fast." Kibayudo smiled and said, "It's okay. If possible, please train with me next time." Suzuki smiled and said, "I don't know much about swordsmanship, but if there is a chance in the future, I can ask Akino to bring a guy with superb swordsmanship. I think he will love this world." Kibayudo nodded and said, "Thank you, don't be so polite, we are all friends." Suzuki smiled at Kibayudo, looked at everyone again and said, "Why don't we go back to the base camp and wait for that turkey to come?" Himejima Akino smiled and said, "No need to be so troublesome. Rias and the others will be here soon, and I have also notified Minato to come." Suzuki curled her lips and said, "I told them to just play cards in the room. I won't be responsible if they lose any limbs." Himejima Akino smiled. There were some things she was going to tell Suzuki after the ranking game was over. Not long after, Namake's Minato appeared in front of everyone, and with him came his granddaughter-in-law Ravel. Suzuki stepped forward, patted his shoulder and said with a smile, "Minato, did you see any special scenes just now?" The expression on Namake's Minato's face suddenly became awkward. "Xiaoqi, what is going on in this world? Why are their clothes as brittle as paper?" I asked Ravel, and she actually said that this is a very normal thing. Suzuki laughed and said, "I will tell you the specific reasons in private next time. Remember to keep the things here confidential, otherwise I will tell Kushina next time." Namake's Minato laughed and said, "Then I will tell your family Sansan about you and Akino, so that you can also experience the feeling of domestic violence. I didn't expect that you, a good-natured man with thick eyebrows and big eyes, have become so bad now." Suzuki scolded with a smile, looked at Ravel and said, "How about it? Have you seen how powerful your grandfather is?" Ravel nodded and said with a smile, "Grandpa is too strong. I couldn't even see his movements clearly. By the time I reacted, those followers had been eliminated." Suzuki smiled and said, "You are quite smart, girl. So do you agree to this marriage now?" Ravel said shyly, "As long as that Uzumaki Boruto doesn't hate me, I am willing to marry him. Don't worry, my eldest nephew will like you very much after seeing you, but there are some things you must pay attention to in the future." "Okay," Ravel nodded. "I know." As they were talking, Rias, the other 2, and Turkey Man Razor also arrived, but both of them had angry faces. Suzuki looked at the 2 people who were talking trash to each other and asked in confusion, "Akino, is Rias upset by something?" "It's all because of you," Akino Himejima complained in her heart, looking at Suzuki and said, "Do you want to cause trouble later?" Suzuki smiled and said, Even if you don't say it, I am going to do it. Himejima Akino smiled and said, then make the matter as big as possible. Now go to Ria's. Mr. Minato and I are here, you don't have to worry. Suzuki nodded, flew to Ria's side, looked at her with some disgust and said, okay, stop scolding, tell me, how do you want to deal with him? Riaz snorted at Suzuki and said, can you beat him in your current state? Suzuki said angrily, did your brain get burned out by that turkey? I can easily beat him with someone like him, Riaz said angrily, who do you say has a broken brain? I'm just asking, Suzuki said unhappily, you can't ask such a question without having a cerebral thrombosis for 10 years. Lidia did not give in at all and said, you have a cerebral thrombosis. Don't think I will like you. Oh my god. These two are really? Watching this scene, Akino Himejima felt exhausted. Riaz wasn't usually like this, so how could she have suddenly had a cerebral thrombosis? Meanwhile, Razor, watching the two flirting across from him, was furious and shot several volleys of flames at them. Suzuki casually fired a few energy bombs, dispersing the flames, and said, Turkey, you stay away for now. I'll have a good talk with this idiot woman before I come and beat you up. Come on, let's continue. Where did I say I wanted you to like me? You're not as good looking as Akino, and you're still not as pretty as her. It's just that your status is slightly better than hers, but so what? If anyone dares to upset her in this world, I'll destroy it immediately. Angels, demons, and fallen angels are nothing to me. What about you? What do you have, you switch princess? Can your Hayao do that for you right now? Riaz was furious at Suzuki's words. She wanted to ask why he called her the switch princess, but then she realized that anything he said was not good. Just then, Graffia's voice echoed again. The ranking game is temporarily suspended. All of Ria's Gremory's followers, please prove your status. Chapter 150, Suzuki and Lidia exchanged insults, and the turkey man was caught in the crossfire. Graffia's sudden voice caused Ria's and the others' faces to drop. Suzuki, seeing her panicked expression, felt a sense of unease. Hey, you didn't figure out Minato and I's identities, did you? Riaz stammered, I thought they wouldn't investigate. This has never happened before. They must have become suspicious after seeing Minato-san's ability used on the liver stream. Suzuki felt like 1,000 horses were galloping through his chest. He had always assumed Riaz would have made all sorts of arrangements ahead of time, at least some connections or something. And since the referee this time was one of their own, everything was guaranteed to be foolproof. What do we do now? Suzuki and Ria's voices rang out simultaneously. They stared at each other in surprise, then suddenly said in unison, why are you asking me? Suzuki was furious. He suspected that this Riaz before him was a mutant like the Pokemon in the dating world. At this moment, Graffia's urging voice echoed again within the space. With the exception of Suzuki and Minato Namikaze, everyone else on Riaz's side revealed their demon wings. Ravel looked at Minato Namikaze and asked, Grandpa, aren't you Riaz's familiar? Minato Namikaze chuckled, I never said I was her familiar. I'll tell you about my origins after this game is over. On the other side, Razor, observing this, finally understood. No wonder Riaz had the audacity to challenge him to a ranking game. It turned out she'd enlisted outside help. Riaz, I didn't expect you to do such a foolish thing. You've completely disgraced the Gremory family, although according to the rules, you've already lost this ranking game. I can give you a chance. If you can defeat me, you'll win. I'm going to convince you completely and make you marry me. Ho ha ho ha! Razor's arrogant laughter sent Riaz, already simmering with rage, into a fury. Without a word, she launched a barrage of magical attacks. Whether her attacks clobbered the opponent's face or severed their arm, Razor's immortality ability instantly restored him to his original form. Observing this, Suzuki had to admit that Razor had some talent, though not much. In contrast, Riaz, now nearly out of mana and panting, shook his head in disappointment. Riaz, are you done with your attacks? Razor taunted, his hands ablaze. Then it's my turn. Facing the two incoming flames, Riaz knew she couldn't block them, but she still managed to raise her hands to block them. Just before the flames were about to strike her, Suzuki stepped in front of her, blocking them for her. Riaz said stubbornly, who asked you to help? I can block it myself. Who said I was helping you? What does it have to do with me whether you marry him or not? But if you lose the game, Minato and I might lose all our points, and Akino will be embarrassed with you. Risa on the opposite side looked at Suzuki unhappily and said, Human, do you want to break the rules of the game? Rules? Xiaoqi sneered and said disdainfully, there are no rules in this world for me. My fists are the rules. Riser looked at Riaz and shouted, Riaz, you should know the consequences of breaking the rules of the ranking game. Do you want to be enemies with all demons? At the same time, Graphia's voice also sounded in the space. On the one hand, she asked Riaz to abide by the rules, and on the other hand, she asked Xiaoqi and Namikaze Minato to leave here now. Otherwise Riaz would be declared defeated. Ha ha ha, Razor laughed heartily and said smugly, Human, get out of here if you know what's good for you. After this game is over, I'll personally come after you for deceiving my foolish sister. Ravel shouted at him, I wasn't fooled by them. I'm married of my own free will. Razor looked at his sister and roared, shut up. You've brought shame upon the Phoenix family. Well done, niece. Xiaoqi smiled at Ravel, then turned to Riaz and said, so, what about you? Do you want Minato and I to leave, or stay here? Riaz glanced at Himejima Akino, who was winking at her, and snorted coldly. Who do you think Riaz Gremory, I won't abandon anyone in this ranking game, even if it means making everyone my enemy. At this point, Riaz looked across at Razor and said, Riser, I'd rather marry that stinky guy than you. Just forget it. At this moment, Himejima Akino said with a smile, oh, it's not easy. It seems that I can be sisters with Riaz for life. Namikato Minato looked at her and smiled. Miss Akino, you were the one who reported Xiaoqi and me, right? Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, everyone's eyes turned to Himejima Akino. Himejima Akino smiled and said, oh, how could I do anything to trick Riaz? Toshiro Bayin said at this time, Deputy Minister, Master and Minister are arguing again. Himejima Akino's smile froze, and she twitched her mouth as she watched the two people over there quarreling with each other again. Across from Razor, a vein bulged on his forehead as he roared at them, shut up, you two bastards. A second later, Xiaoqi and Riaz turned to look at each other and shouted in unison, you're the one who shuts up, turkey man. Xiaoqi looked at Riaz and said, silly woman, let's go roast this annoying turkey first, and then come back and continue arguing. Do you dare? Riaz snorted, why not? I'm not afraid of a stinking man like you. Okay, it's settled. I'll take care of him in a minute. Xiaoqi instantly transformed into a Super Saiyan and flew towards Razor. What's so great about being a Super Saiyan? Riaz curled her lips, spreading her wings and shouting, I'll take care of him in 59 seconds. Just as Xiaoqi and Riaz were beating up Razor, Graphia announced that Riaz had lost the ranking game due to a foul. Xiaoqi and Livia stopped what they were doing, raised their heads, and said in unison, shut up. If you keep arguing, I'll beat you up too. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.